Chapter 1022. The next morning when Chu Yang went to find Wu Qianqian, he still felt the pain of his buttocks splitting into 8 pieces. For some reason, Zi Shiqing was extra ruthless this time. Chu Yang used the incomplete version of the heavy pill and only managed to heal a large part of it. Although it did not affect his movement, his buttocks started to protest when he walked. Chu Yang came to Jianghu building in pain. When Wu Qianqian saw him, she was shocked. What happened? Are you hurt? It's very serious. Chu Yang wrinkled his nose. Where are you hurt? Let me take a look. Wu Qianqian walked over anxiously. On my buttocks. Chu Yang said bitterly, they're swollen. Wu Qianqian was stunned and her face turned red. She spat at him and said, hooligan. I'm innocent. It's true. Chu Yang felt wronged. I'll be a fool if I believe you. Wu Qianqian snorted. Since ancient times, when experts fought, how could they not hit other areas but only the buttocks? Wu Qianqian naturally thought that Chu Yang was teasing her. Sigh then, let's talk about serious matters. Chu Yang said helplessly. Umph. Wu Qianqian snorted again. How are your preparations? Chu Yang pulled Wu Qianqian to the table, picked up a brush, dipped it in water and wrote on the table. After the words were written, they dried up and only Wu Qianqian could see them. Wu Qianqian took the brush and said, I'm ready. Chu Yang continued to write. Does your master know? You didn't tell him, right? No. My master hates evil and can't tolerate anything. If he knew, he would have already killed them. Good. I have a packet of medicine here. Take it tomorrow night. As long as you don't use your elemental energy, the effect will be the same as the medicine he gave me. When the time comes, if your master can't make it in time, you can use your elemental energy and recover immediately. Okay. Things will be big tomorrow. You have to be prepared. I understand. The two finished writing. Chu Yang laughed. I didn't expect Wu Xian's foundation to be so good. In such a short time, you've recovered to such an extent. Looks like my treatment plan is coming to an end. Congratulations, Wu Xian. Wu Qianqian smiled gently and said, it's all thanks to the divine doctor's miraculous hands. Chu Yang said modestly, you're too kind. Black Immortal Foundation is really good. How about this, Wu Xian? Chu Yang pondered for a while and said, Wu Xian's injuries are about to recover completely, but they haven't recovered yet. This is the most sensitive situation. How about this, you take this medicine today and I'll go back today. Immediately prepare another medicine and send it to Wu Xian tomorrow afternoon. When Wu Xian takes it, I dare to guarantee with my honor that Wu Xian's injuries will be completely healed immediately. Moreover, there will be absolutely no sequelae. Chu Yang said solemnly. In the afternoon? Wu Qianqian asked confusedly, Divine Dr. Chu, you've always come in the morning. Why did you suddenly change it to the afternoon tomorrow? He said it out loud. Wu Qianqian couldn't feel it. However, Chu Yang could feel that there was a divine sense that had been hidden seamlessly all this time. Suddenly there was a slight fluctuation. Chu Yang said calmly, Wu Xian doesn't know. Originally, I thought that Wu Xian's injuries would at least take another 3 days to recover completely. But I didn't expect Wu Xian's aptitude to be so good and so deep. By then, I haven't even started to prepare those medicines. Wu Xian must know. If many medicines are prepared in advance, their medicinal effects will be lost. But to prepare medicines on the spot, it takes time. I'll go back to prepare now. I also need to nourish the medicine overnight. Then I'll use a secret method to extract the essence of the medicine and soak it in a special medicine. Only when it reaches a certain level can I take it out from the medicine and prepare it into medicine for Wu Xian. By then, I might not be able to send it over by tomorrow afternoon. I see, Wu Qianqian said shamefully and gratefully, Divine Doctor, you've really done a lot for me. Chu Yang said seriously, as long as Wu Xian can recover completely, even if I have to work 10 times harder, I'm willing to do it. Wu Qianqian didn't say anything else. She just looked at him deeply and said, Thank you, Divine Doctor. Chu Yang smiled. Wu Xian, rest now and recuperate your energy. By tomorrow night all the pain will be gone. Thank you, mister. Wu Qianqian bowed. Goodbye. I'll send you off. The two of them walked down Jianghu building. Chu Yang bowed and Wu Qianqian respectfully returned the greeting. She watched as Chu Yang left. Just like usual. Nothing out of the ordinary could be seen. In Jianghu building, the hidden divine consciousness seemed to be relieved and quietly retreated. When Chu Yang returned, Zi Shiqing was in the courtyard. She was slowly stretching her body and doing some incredible movements. Even though Chu Yang's buttocks were still hurting terribly, he couldn't help but laugh. The movements that Zi Sheqing was practicing now were the limitless heaven and earth Tao that he practiced every morning. He didn't expect that Zi Sheqing would learn everything that he practiced every day. Cough cough, who still remembers Chu Yang's limitless heaven and earth Tao? Although Chu Yang himself had already performed this set of movements smoothly and easily, he was still a man after all. Now this set of kung fu was being displayed on Zi Sheqing's body. As her slender and delicate body made strange movements, her postures were actually extremely beautiful. When Chu Yang arrived, Zi Sheqing's feet were nailed to the ground. She straightened her back and slowly leaned back, revealing her head from under her crotch. Then she hugged her chin from the front with both hands and pulled gently. Instantly, her body left the ground and flew up. She maintained this circular posture in the air and spun in circles. Her beautiful hair was also fluttering in the wind. Chu Yang looked at her breasts that were even more beautiful after she deliberately raised her head. He couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Demon. This duke wants to see just how monstrous this demoness is. Chu Yang gave himself a reason in his heart. Then he continued to read with a clear conscience. After a long time, Zi Sheqing stopped practicing. She wiped the sweat on her forehead and walked over. The most peculiar thing about this set of martial arts was that when practicing this set of martial arts, one couldn't use one's cultivation and could only use the most primitive physical strength. Therefore, after practicing for a while, Zi Sheqing was also sweating profusely. How is it? Chu Yang asked with a smile. Very good. Zi Sheqing pondered for a while and praised, this set of martial arts is really powerful. Although it can't improve one's cultivation, it has a faint resemblance to the traces of Tao. Oh, no. Zi Sheqing said halfway. She suddenly changed her words, this set of movements should be full of traces of life. Every movement can feel the rhythm of life. That kind of vitality. Only after a certain level. After understanding the meaning of life, only then can one start to use this set of movements to figure out the traces of Tao. Amazing. Chu Yang couldn't help but praise. He really didn't expect Zi Sheqing to understand the true power of this set of martial arts just by watching him practice it a few times. This set of martial arts is very useful to me. It's very useful. Zi Sheqing said lightly. As she said, she looked at Chu Yang. I'll explain it to you one by one, and then give you the incantation. Chu Yang laughed. Okay. Zi Sheqing agreed readily. She smiled and said, maybe you don't understand what I mean, but I can be sure that this set of movements of yours will be my biggest gain from coming to the Chongtian continent this time. It's my honor. Chu Yang laughed. Following which, he explained the set of movements to Zi Sheqing in detail as he spoke. As he explained, he made a demonstration. Zi Sheqing looked at him intently and remembered it in her heart. Tomorrow morning let's do it together. You follow behind me. Chu Yang smiled and said. He liked Zi Sheqing's temper the most. She was not pretentious. Compared to ordinary people, although Zi Sheqing was an unparalleled expert, she had a sincerity that ordinary people didn't have. And she was real. Okay. Zi Sheqing naturally knew that she wouldn't understand the essence of it so quickly. She was even more sure that this set of movements, although it looked ordinary, but to her, it was better than any other martial technique. Because this set of martial technique, in a sense, was just an imitation. It wasn't based on the human body to create this set of movements. How's your preparation? Zi Sheqing asked. Everything is ready. Chu Yang answered seriously. Good. Zi Sheqing agreed. She turned and smiled and said, I just realized now. Although it's satisfying to use violence to solve some problems, it's really not as satisfying as scheming behind someone's back. That feeling of satisfaction is really indescribable. Chu Yang smiled deeply and said, so in this world many people like to play tricks. Some do it for their own purposes, but some do it for this special kind of achievement and pleasure. Zi Sheqing deeply agreed. The beginning of the 12th lunar month. The day had finally arrived. In the afternoon, when Chu Yang walked out of the orchard palace, the sky was already a little dark. After 2 turns he saw Lan Changa. He saw Lan Changa making a gesture to him and throwing a questioning look at him. The gesture meant, Moon Breeze had been invited for a drink. The look in his eyes meant, how's your preparation? Chu Yang made a, don't worry, gesture and walked over with a smile. Lan Changa was instantly overjoyed. He couldn't help but reveal a lewd smile on his face. While the beauty was about to be in his hands, Lan Changa almost skipped back. Chu Yang looked at Lan Changa from the corner of his eyes and a trace of disdain appeared in his eyes. Then he walked over. When he reached Jiaxiu building, Wu Chanshan had already been waiting for a long time. She said apologetically, Thank you for your hard work. It's already so late, you must be very tired? Chu Yang laughed and put on an expression of, obviously very tired but pretending not to be tired, but at the same time letting people see that he's very tired at a glance. It's not tiring. For a mortal, it's only right to be tiring. Immortal, the medicine is ready. Drink it while it's hot. It's good for the medicinal effect. Wu Qianqian nodded gently. She picked up a bowl of medicine on the table and raised it to her mouth. The two of them looked at each other and secretly gave each other a look. Then Wu Qianqian drank the medicine in one gulp. Finally, she had made up for her lack of chapters. She heaved a long sigh of relief and went to sleep. Chapter 1023. After leaving Wu Qianqian's place, Chu Yang saw Lan Chang'e after walking a short distance. This Lan Chang'e was really impatient to die. Chu Yang thought to himself but walked over without looking sideways. He gave Lan Chang'e a look that said, "Don't worry, it's all settled." Then Chu Yang did not care about Lan Chang'e's reaction and left in a hurry. Lan Chang'e's eyes lit up. A surge of excitement almost rushed up to his throat and he started to sing loudly. He had to suppress the ecstasy in his heart by force. Thinking that from today onwards he would be the son-in-law of the Moon Breeze supreme martial artists, have a beautiful woman in his arms, and be able to spoil the Yi clan's plans and let his own clan reap all the benefits. In that case, who else but him would be the next clan master of the Lan clan? Chapter 302. You watched the show, I watched the show. Thinking of this, Lan Chang'e's heart was burning. Looking at Chu Yang's back, Lan Chang'e laughed and said softly, "It's all thanks to this idiot. I will definitely let you die comfortably." Then Lan Chang'e left in a hurry. He went back to make arrangements. Chu Yang had walked far away and turned a corner. His ears moved slightly and he muttered, "But I will definitely not let you die comfortably." Then Chu Yang turned a few corners and changed his appearance to a short and fat man. Then he went straight to the front of Shuiyu Tower. In front of Shuiyu Tower, there was already a sea of people. It could be seen that the Diwu clan had made a big fuss this time. Chu Yang walked with his hands behind his back. His eyes were full of disdain. A martial saint-level aura surged out and he went on a rampage in the crowd. Many people were knocked down by him. But when they saw his cultivation level, they were angry but did not dare to say anything. Chu Yang's arrival was such a big fuss. Immediately, it attracted the attention of a martial artist from the Diwu clan. He immediately came forward and bowed respectfully. "May I know if you are here to celebrate the birthday?" "Celebrate the birthday?" Chu Yang laughed with a hoarse voice. "Is Diwu Qingru here?" That martial artist became even more respectful. Chapter 302. You watched the show, I also watched the show. Lord Qingro is currently at Shuiyu Tower. How about I lead Senior there? Chu Yang waved his hand casually. "Forget it. I have a note here. Just leave it to him." As he spoke, a piece of paper suddenly appeared out of thin air and floated towards the warrior. Only then did he land. "Yes, may I know Senior's name?" The warrior became even more respectful when he saw this. "Give him the note and he will know who I am." Chu Yang snorted. Then he suddenly rose up like a rainbow and disappeared without a trace. The warrior did not dare to be negligent. She hurriedly ran towards the Water Moon Tower with the slip of paper in her hand. On the top floor of Shuiyu Tower, Diwu Qingro and the others were drinking while watching the show. Diwu Qingro's demeanor was free and easy. His movements were natural and his eyes were warm. There was nothing unusual about him. Suddenly, there was a report from outside that someone wanted to see him. He said that he had important news. Diwu Qingro waved his hand and ordered him to come in. "My lord, there are orders. I'll give you this slip of paper." That warrior respectfully walked in front of Diwu Qingro and raised the slip of paper over his head. "Oh." Diwu Qingro took it and casually put it aside. He asked, "What does that person look like?" "He's a little short and fat, but he has an intimidating presence and a strong aura. He thinks that he's at least a saint. He should be a saint-level master." The warrior hurriedly explained. Diwu Qingro waved his hand and dismissed him. He slowly unfolded the slip of paper. Suddenly his body trembled slightly. "Fifth brother, what happened?" Diwu Qingquang, who was sitting beside him, asked sensitively. "Nothing much, just an old friend. He found out that I'm here and came to report some news." Diwu Qingro said casually. The slip of paper had already turned into ashes in his hand. Diwu Qingquang did not believe it, but he could not say anything. He just replied with an "oh," and sat back down. Diwu Qingro's eyes were fixed on the stage, but his mind turned to those few words. There were only these few words on the slip of paper. You dance softly in the heavens, but do you know what you did in the past? At the Water Moon Tower you should be drunk, but I have no worries in the heavens. The east wind pushes the boat thousands of miles, painstakingly planning. Tonight I'll climb high to see the wind and moon and sit and watch the heads roll. The inscription was, "You watch the show, I watch the show too." Wu Qingro thought for a long time. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. He murmured, "You really don't want to lose out at all. I can't deny that I made use of you in this matter, but didn't you make use of me too? The benefits you get are even greater." Then Wu Qingro seemed to have put down all his worries and focused on watching the show. Because the show was about to start. Yang flew up to a high tower in the city. This high tower was used by the Zhuge clan for divination. However, it had not been used in the past few years. Therefore the security was not very tight. Then he was like a piece of weightless black cloud. He calmed down and attached himself to the highest tile. The cold wind whistled and swept past his body. However, it could not even lift his black clothes. The reason why he chose this place was because it was the closest to the Yi clan's residence. And it was also the highest place in the vicinity. The Yi clan's residence was called Peaceful Jade Lake. It was surrounded by water on 3 sides. The environment was extremely beautiful. It was obvious that the Zhuge clan had put in a lot of effort in arranging the residence of the number 1 clan. At this moment, Yi Shifeng was anxiously pacing back and forth in the residence of Peaceful Jade Lake. He looked anxiously at the door. Beside him there were a few elders in black. They sat calmly and seemed to be resting. In the other residences, the members of the Yi clan were not resting. They were not doing anything. They were quietly waiting for something. The door opened. A gust of cold wind blew in. A black shadow followed. How is it? There is no movement from the Lan clan. How could this be? Yi Shifeng was puzzled. Tonight he had spent a lot of effort persuading his clan members. They were prepared to follow behind the Lan clan. When the Lan clan and the Zhuge clan were fighting, they would take advantage of the situation. For this, they had even sent out 2 5th-grade supreme martial artists and a 2nd-grade supreme martial artist to scout for information. The remaining supreme martial artists were all using their divine senses as if they were facing a great enemy. Who would have thought that after waiting for so long, there was still no movement from the Lan clan? If the news was false, then Yi Shifeng would have committed a huge sin this time. These experts were the old ancestors of the Yi clan. How could they be toyed with by Yi Shifeng? Yi Xiu sat at the side with an elegant posture. He did not say a word. In fact, he had doubts about this mission. However, Yi Shifeng wanted to take all the credit. How could he tell Yi Xiu such a big thing? Hence, Yi Xiu was still in the dark. If Yi Xiu knew, he would have strong suspicions and start investigating. Yi Shifeng had made a huge mistake. No matter what, Yi Xiu had interacted with Chu Yang in the upper 3 heavens. Furthermore, he knew the origin of the Lake of Despair incident. At the very least, he knew that Chu Yang was one of the initiators of the incident. Furthermore, Mo Tianji, Gu Duxing and the rest. They all followed Chu Yang's lead. Even if they were stupid, they would think about it. Although these people were not considered much in the upper 3 heavens. However, in the upper 3 heavens they were all arrogant geniuses. Furthermore, they were all descendants of aristocratic families. Chu Yang had nothing. To be able to make these people bow down to him, how could he not have some ability? Yi Xiu saw Yi Shifeng's anxious look and suddenly felt a chill in his heart. This was his 2nd brother, his biological brother. Normally he would take good care of him. However, when it came to such an important matter, he did not even tell him anything. He yawned and said, "2nd brother, wait here. Anyway, this mission has nothing to do with me. I'll go and sleep first." Yi Shifeng nodded absent-mindedly and said, "Go, go." Yi Xiu's heart felt even colder. He nodded and walked out of the door. However, his attitude today was obviously stiff and pretentious. Other than the Yi clan, the Shao clan, Shi clan, Ling clan, Zhuge clan were also doing the same thing as the Yi clan. They were paying close attention to the Lan clan. There were no experts outside at all. The first half of the night was very peaceful. Finally, Yi Shifeng was anxiously waiting. A divine consciousness swept across the sky. The Lan clan has made their move. They have mobilized many people. Yi Shifeng was ecstatic. He almost jumped for joy. He clenched his right fist and waved it excitedly. Pay attention to the direction. A black figure. Wearing the Yi clan's uniform, he entered Jiaxiu building like a wisp of smoke. The 2 maids downstairs didn't even have time to react before they were knocked unconscious. The black shadow went up Jiaxiu building without stopping. His speed was as fast as lightning, but he seemed to be moving slowly and silently. He was already outside Wu Qianqian's room. He listened carefully and only heard the sound of breathing. There was only one person inside. His hands silently pressed against the door, and with a burst of strength, the door frame was silently shattered and the door opened. Wu Qianqian was lying on the bed. When she heard the voice, she did not react. She only struggled to support herself and shouted in fear, "Who is it?" The man in black laughed strangely and felt relieved. He said softly, "Sorry miss, our second young master Yi has taken a liking to you. He wants to invite you over for a chat." Wu Qianqian said angrily, "Second young master Yi? Yi Shifeng? How dare he? What does he dare to do?" There is no need to talk about second young master Ye's courage. Since he has already done it, Wu Xian should accept her fate. The man in black stepped forward and slapped Wu Qianqian's shoulder. Wu Qianqian only had time to say one sentence. "How dare you?" she fainted. He wrapped her in a blanket and carried her on his shoulder. With a swoosh he went out of the window. He disappeared into the night. He was extremely careful when he came. He had already confirmed that there were no other experts here. Things went very smoothly. He succeeded the moment he arrived. It seemed that the Chuyang mentioned by the Sangong was really stupid to such an extent. This time Yi Shifeng would not be able to escape unscathed. After he left, a slender figure appeared. It was Zi Xiecheng. Chapter 1024. At this moment, in a quiet and elegant tavern, Feng Yuro and Yu Lingxue were sitting at the head of the table. Sitting opposite them was the second grandmaster of the Lan clan, Lan Muxue. Today they suddenly received Lan Muxue's invitation for a meal. The Moon Breeze couple couldn't reject it and had to give him face. Among the people from the big clans, only Lan Muxue had the face to invite them. The others really couldn't invite the Moon Breeze couple. It wasn't that this thousands of miles of ice and snow was so awesome that the Moon Breeze couple had to give face to him. It was just that Yu Lingxue and Feng Yuro owed the Lan clan a big favor. Wu Qianqian, the disciple with the demonic body that both of them were very satisfied with, was recommended to them by the Lan clan. To the two of them this favor was very heavy. Therefore when Lan Muxue invited them this time, Book 7 Chapter 303, exposing evil schemes, although Feng and Yu were reluctant, they still came. "Senior Yu, please drink this cup. I have a few words from the bottom of my heart that I would like to tell you." Lan Muxue raised his cup respectfully. "Oh." Yu Lingxue looked at him and said, "What words do you have that you have to drink before speaking?" Lan Muxue felt awkward and thought, drinking this cup before speaking is just a kind of etiquette on the table. People say that it's easier to speak when one is drunk. Why is this supreme martial artist so serious? He had no choice but to say, "Since that's the case, I'll drink first and say a few words from the bottom of my heart to give you courage." Yu Lingxue said lightly, "Just speak. Why do you need to drink to give you courage?" Lan Muxue's cup was already in the air. When he heard this he was stunned again. For a moment he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "If you have something to say, just say it." Feng Yuro frowned and said, "Muxue, you also know the relationship between the Lan clan and us. There's no need to do this." Lan Muxue forced a smile and finally finished his cup. He said, "Then I'll be bold and say it directly." He sighed and said, "I think that the two of you are so detached from the law enforcement officers. It's really unwise." "Unwise?" Yu Lingxue raised his eyebrows. Part 7 Chapter 303 Exposing a Treacherous Plot. "Yes." Lan Muxue raised his eyebrows and said, "Are you saying that changing the pattern of the heavens for 10,000 years and the rules set by our ancestors is wisdom? But the Calamity Sword Master is a void after all." Lan Muxue pondered and finally retorted, "Nothingness?" Yu Lingxue chuckled. "And it is said that the previous masters of the Calamity Sword are all of terrible characters." Lan Muxue said, "Senior, it is too unfair for you to work for such people." "So what?" Yu Lingxue was unmoved. His expression was cold. He said, "Back then, on the first day I became a law enforcer, I was already at the law enforcement steel. Stabbing the heart, the back, the pit of the stomach, the palm of the hand, the soles of the foot, with the blood of the 7 hearts, I swear a venomous oath." For the rest of his life he was a law enforcer. Impartial, and incorruptible. To ensure the peace of the heaven, and to assist the Calamity Sword Master in unifying the heaven at a certain time. I will always remember the oath in front of the law enforcement tablet. Even though the Calamity Sword Master's character is not good, he has never harmed the world. Instead, he used his own strength to unify the heaven, sacrificing his own life and that of his brother to become the foundation of the heaven. What right do you have to say that their character is not good? The establishment of the heaven is a scene of blood. So, it requires the unity of the heavens and the 10 hearts to be united, and the vitality to be soaring to the sky to resolve the crisis of the heaven. And this unity of the heavens and the earth is the great calamity of your big clans. Every brother of the Calamity Sword Master corresponds to one of your big clans. Once the brothers of the Calamity Sword Master appear, it is a sign of the destruction of the big clans of the older generation. Then, it becomes the blood of the heavens and nourishes the heaven. What other complaints do you have? You must know that this is your elder ancestor. He became the tribulation of others, turning tens of thousands of people of other clans into the blood of the heavens. That is why your clans have been prosperous for 10,000 years. Now, your clans are destroyed by another tribulation and turned into the power of the heavens. Isn't it reasonable? You must know that if the Calamity Sword Master dies, this continent will collapse. The tragedy of 100,000 years ago will repeat itself. By then your clan will also cease to exist. Yu Lingxue finished in one breath. He straightened his body and looked at Lan Muxia. I would like to give you a piece of advice. Muxia, seeing that your junior Meixian has recommended a satisfactory brother to me, I advise you not to participate in the battle against the Calamity Sword Master. Take a step back. Although more than half of your clan will be killed or injured because of this, your entire clan will not be destroyed. As long as the bloodline is still there, your Lan clan will have a chance to rise again. His eyes were burning. The Dharma Supreme wants to destroy the Calamity Sword Master. This is going against the heavens. Even if he really succeeds, with the death of the Calamity Sword Master, without the power of the tribulation and the vitality of billions of dead souls, this heaven continent will not live for long. Lan Muxia sighed and said, Elder, I am already in a difficult position. Yu Lingxue said sharply, What difficult position? It is just that you can't give up the glory and wealth that you have already obtained. Don't you know that your Lan clan must have kept a few ancient books from 100,000 years ago? Do you know the most common sentence in the ancient books? That sentence. Lan Muxia asked doubtfully. History is but a dream, the heavenly talents will only last for 1,000 years. Yu Lingxue said indifferently, 100,000 years ago the most powerful clan in the heaven continent and the clan that lasted the longest was the Heavenly Talents clan. They only lasted for 1,000 years. Other than that, no other clan could last for a longer period of time. But when it comes to the Heavenly Talents clan, every clan lasted for 10,000 years. Have you ever thought about the reason for this? Which clan can last for 10,000 years? Are you all so awesome? Not squandering even after 10,000 years? You must know that a poor person can't last for 5 generations and a rich person can't last for 3 generations. 10,000 years. What? Isn't it because they want to turn you all into the power of the blood that nourishes the heavens? That's why they used the luck of the heavens to add to the big clans? Otherwise, you all would have long been wiped out in the long river of history. How can you all survive for 10,000 years? You are still not satisfied? Yu Lingxue asked coldly, You still want to go against the will of the heavens. Do you know that the more you resist, the more your Lan clan will be completely destroyed? In the end, I'm afraid there will be no survivors and your bloodline will be wiped out. Lan Muxia let out a long sigh and lowered his head. His face was full of bitterness. He said, I know all these that Senior has said. However, for 10,000 years, everyone in the big clans knows about these. But, who doesn't have the thought of being lucky? If they can survive and maintain their current glory, who would be willing to be enemies with their brothers who have been on par with them for 10,000 years? Every clan has gone through 10,000 years of hard work to develop to today's situation. 10,000 years of hard work and generations of wisdom, how can we be willing to be destroyed? Yu Lingxue sighed. If that's the case, then there's really nothing to say. If the Tribulation Sword Master appears, we in the Lan clan, I'm afraid we'll be on the opposite side. By then, it'll be really awkward. Lan Muxia sighed too. At this point, Yu Lingxue, who had always been cold and taciturn, made an exception to say so much. Every word was sincere advice. How could Lan Muxia not know? But Lan Muxia would definitely not agree. Lan Muxia felt a little guilty. Although Yu Lingxue would definitely be on the opposite side in the future, he was talking to him now. But the reason why he asked them out was to plot against their only and most beloved disciple. He couldn't help but feel very uncomfortable in his heart. The three of them ate in silence for a while. Lan Muxia finally asked tentatively, I wonder if Master Yu's disciple Wu Xian has a husband now? Feng Yuro suddenly raised her head and looked at him. She snorted lightly. Lan Muxia, you want to be a matchmaker? Lan Muxia laughed and said, That's right. I have a descendant. Regardless of character, martial arts cultivation, intelligence and temperament. They're all. Say no more. Yulingxue didn't wait for him to finish and had already waved his hand to interrupt him. He said, "How can the few of you from the Lan clan be worthy of our disciple?" A hint of hidden anger flashed across Lan Mushua's eyes. "Who do you think your disciple is? Our Lan clan is actually not worthy." At this moment, a clear and cold voice suddenly came from the outside. Good mood, good mood. Venerable Feng and you are indeed worthy of being Venerable Feng and you." Even their own disciple was taken away by someone. The couple is still here indulging in wine and women. The three of them changed their expressions at the same time. "I'll go back and take a look." Yulingxue made a prompt decision. He stood up and went out through the window. In a flash he disappeared. Only Feng Yuro was left here. Because both husband and wife could tell who the person was. Perhaps in this world, anyone could lie to them, but this person definitely didn't need to lie to them. Because she didn't need to use her full strength at all. She could easily kill them. In front of such a huge gap in strength. Why would she lie to them? Lan Mushua shouted in a deep voice, "Who is it? Stand out for this old man." His heart was already beating like a drum. Yulingxue left immediately after this person spoke. Was it because he trusted this person or was he overly concerned about his disciple? Yulingxue went back so early. Did the clan's plan succeed? Could it be? He tried to use his divine senses to search for the person who spoke, but to his horror, he realized that his divine senses were like a clay ox entering the sea. There was no response at all. "You don't need to know who I am," that person said coldly. The voice seemed to be right beside his ear. "Feng Yuro, you're really patient. The grandson of this old thing in front of you has already gone to harm your brother. All kinds of indecent methods such as knockout drugs, aphrodisiacs, and framing others have all been used. Now your disciple has already confessed. Yet you're still in the mood to sit and drink with him." Chapter 1025. Everyone from both sides gritted their teeth, their faces ferocious as they shouted, "Fight to the death." Both sides did not wish for any undue delay in this battle. Hence, right from the start, the battle had already reached its climax. In an instant, the entire peaceful Jade Lake was shaking violently. Strong and ferocious forces collided with each other continuously, causing the forces to scatter in all directions. The water of peaceful Jade Lake surged up to a height of a few hundred feet before it was forcefully pressed down and smashed onto the ground, scattering out of the lake shore. The ground shook violently and the entire abode jumped up as if there was an earthquake, then fell down heavily. Such a sturdy house was swaying left and right energetically as if it was a disco dance. Just one contact and there were already people from both sides who were injured. Everyone's eyes were red from the start. The Lan clan's daughter wanted to rescue Wu Qianshan earlier and frame the Yi clan as the scapegoat so that elders Feng and Yu would find trouble with them. Then the Lan clan would successfully settle their own matters and make a fortune. It was undeniable that even if Yi Di was here, he could only retreat and escape from the rage of elders Feng and Yu. As long as the Yi clan, the most competitive clan, withdrew, the Lan clan's matter would be more than 80% settled. And regarding this matter, the Elder Master did not know how long he could delay elders Feng and Yu. Once Elder Master Feng and Yu suddenly came and caught them red-handed, the Yi clan would have a chance to explain themselves. That would be bad. Hence, everyone went all out from the start. As for the Yi clan, they felt wronged and depressed. They were also driven by the other party's desperation and had no choice but to resist with all their might. No matter what, they had to hold on until the Elder Master returned. Otherwise they would definitely be the scapegoat. The rage of elders Feng and Yu was not something that the Yi clan members here could withstand. In an instant, everyone in the Yi clan fought with all their might. Once they were framed, they would be killed by elders Feng and Yu. There was no doubt about this. Rather than being killed by Elder Master Feng and Yu, they would rather perish together with this bunch of bastards who framed them. Thinking of this, everyone fought even harder. Everyone shouted loudly, shaking the heavens and earth. Everyone's eyes were red and their faces were ferocious. Screams, sounds of collisions, sounds of weapons clashing, curses, roars. The noise was so loud that it became a mess. Almost everyone in Tianji City woke up from their dreams with a start. Every single one of them was trembling in fear. The entire Tianji City seemed to be shaking. In an instant, the end of the world had arrived. Yi Shifeng stayed in the hall and felt his palms sweating. He muttered, "Where is the Elder Master? Where is our ancestor?" It was obvious that the Lan clan had come prepared this time, whereas the Yi clan had hastily accepted the challenge. The winner was obvious. At this moment, the only thing that could turn the tide was Yi Di's sudden appearance. No one else seemed to have such strength. Elder Master has gone to the Dharma Supreme to discuss some matters. Behind Yi Shifeng, Yi Shiyu quietly appeared and replied. What should we do now? Elder is not around, we can't stop them. Yi Shifeng said anxiously, if the person is snatched away, the Yi clan will be in trouble. With the tempers of Elders Feng and Yu, how could they suffer such a loss for no reason? If that happens, our Yi clan will really have yellow mud falling into our pants. Even if it's not shit, it will still be shit. What exactly is going on? Yi Shiyu frowned and asked. At this moment, not only did Yi Shiyu lose his usual demeanor, he even displayed a calmness and magnanimity that Yi Shifeng definitely did not have. Calm in the face of change. However, Yi Shifeng was now in a state of panic. How could he still care about this? He anxiously explained the matter to Yi Shiyu as fast as he could. What? Yi Shiyu looked at his brother in shock. This information was given to you by Chu Yang? He had a look of disbelief on his face. What's wrong with that? Yi Shifeng said irritably, I bought it with real money. You pig. Yi Shiyu finally raged. Even if you believe a pig, don't believe Chu Yang? What are you thinking? You actually think that he is easy to bully, to tempt and bribe? Are you crazy? Even if you went to look for Lan Changa directly, it would be smarter than looking for Chu Yang. What's wrong? You seem to know something? Yi Shifeng was stunned and suddenly said angrily, You knew but you didn't tell me? You just watched as I stepped into a trap? There was a loud explosion outside. It was unknown what kind of weapon had collided with each other. At this moment, there was an explosion of intense white light, illuminating the entire heaven and earth as if it was daytime. Under the illumination of the white light, Yi Shiyu could clearly see that Yi Shifeng's face, under the illumination of the white light, resembled a ferocious and dangerous beast that was about to devour its prey. Blood streaks appeared at the corners of Yi Shifeng's eyes as he glared fiercely at Yi Shifeng. Yi Shiyu's heart turned cold. He suddenly had a bad premonition. Tell you? Have you told me what you are doing? How would I know what you are going to do? How would I tell you? Yi Shiyu said angrily. Then tell me now, what exactly is the problem that I am looking for Chu Yang for? Yi Shifeng was slightly guilty. Why are you so stupid? Have you forgotten that day when you left Shuiyu restaurant, you sent Yi Kong and Yi Yun to kill Chu Yang? Have you forgotten? Yi Kong and Yi Yun are dead, but Chu Yang is still alive. Yi Kong and Yi Yun were killed after they were forced to confess. Yi Shiyu was almost roaring. In other words, that person already knew their motive and the mastermind behind it. That was why he killed them. Do you understand if I put it this way? Yi Shifeng finally turned pale with fright. You are saying that the person who killed Yi Kong and Yi Yun is Chu Yang? He then shook his head violently. This is impossible. Chu Yang's cultivation level can be seen at a glance. He is obviously a first-grade martial monarch. Although he can be considered a genius, how could he have the ability to kill an 8th-grade martial monarch? If Chu Yang can't do it, why can't others? Can Chu Yang's helpers do it? Have you seen Chu Yang with helpers? You haven't, right? I haven't seen it either. But Chu Yang definitely wouldn't dare to come to Tianji City alone. Along the way he has killed countless playboys. How can a first-grade martial monarch do it? Without an expert accompanying him? Can he? Can't you use your brain for a bit? Yi Shiyu was speechless. He said furiously, also, that day at Shuiyu restaurant when Chu Yang mentioned that Wuxia was injured, you were there too, right? Why did you give in? Didn't Chu Yang have something on you? If he knew that those two people were from the Yi clan, wouldn't he know that you were the one who sent them? Why are you so foolish? Yi Shifeng was dumbstruck. He was so depressed that he wanted to hang himself. Yes, I should have thought of it earlier. Also, Wuxia was injured that night. Furthermore, it was Yi Kong and Yi Yun who fought. What? Could it be that she was on the same path as Chu Yang? In other words, behind Chu Yang are the elders Feng and you? That day was it a trap? Is it possible? You have such a huge feud with Chu Yang, yet you still tried to bribe him and buy information from him? I really don't know what to say about you. Tiske, if he didn't trick you, who else would he trick? Yi Shiyu stomped his feet and sighed heavily. So it's like this. Yi Shifeng mumbled. Suddenly, his gaze became ferocious. He grabbed Yi Shiyu's collar and gritted his teeth. You knew it earlier but you didn't say anything. You purposely wanted to drag me down, right? Isn't that right? Yi Shiyu allowed his collar to be grabbed by Yi Shifeng. However, he did not get angry and did not struggle. He only looked at Yi Shifeng with a pair of sorrowful eyes. His eyes were filled with despair. Even though he knew that it was useless, he still explained, I only suspected these things. I didn't dare to say it because I was afraid that you would create more trouble for Chu Yang. Did you realize that I have been avoiding him all this while? I have been telling you not to get too close to Chu Yang? As for the last few points, I only thought of them after I found out about what you did. Yi Shiyu said sorrowfully and dishearteningly. He tsk. Yi Shifeng, what a talent. Yi Shifeng looked up to the sky and laughed. His rough face was filled with anger and malevolence. You have been pretending to be a transvestite for so many years. Who would have thought that you, Third Master Yi, would be able to trick your own brother with such ease and familiarity? You have been looking forward to this plan for a long time, right? Ah. The sorrow in Yi Shiyu's eyes deepened. However, he bit his lips and did not say anything. He knew that with Yi Shifeng's current mental state, it was useless to say anything. In fact, what he had just said and explained was completely unnecessary. Yi Shifeng was close to madness. Outside, saber light, sword chi and lightning flashed unceasingly. Miserable screams and the sounds of battle rose and fell one after another. However, the two brothers in the hall did not care. Each of them stared fixedly at the other. Both of their eyes were filled with fury. However, Yi Shifeng's rage was fueled by despair, coupled with a deep hatred towards Yi Shiyu. However, although Yi Shiyu's face was also filled with rage, there was also a sense of sadness in it. That was complete despair towards kinship. Kinship was ultimately not as attractive as power. That was his second brother, his biological brother. Brothers from the same mother, And now he was treating him so unreasonably. The two of them stared at each other like fighting cocks. At this moment there was another earth-shattering sound outside. A majestic voice shouted, "Rush in! Get that person out of there. This person, we want him." Both sides who were still fighting were shocked. The people who came were from the Shao clan. Furthermore, it was obvious that they were well prepared. More than 100 people rushed over as fast as lightning. The people from the Lan clan and Yi clan, who bore the brunt of the impact, were swaying left and right. Chapter 1026. When the Shao clan heard that, they realized that the Lan clan was actually asking the Yi clan for the person. Therefore, everyone in the Shao clan was shocked. So this person had already landed in the hands of the Yi clan? The Yi clan was really impressive. They actually managed to get the person from the Zhuge clan's base camp without anyone knowing. Damn it, if the elders hadn't bought that piece of news, they would probably have been kept in the dark. The heavens are really fair, allowing us to obtain such crucial news at such a crucial moment. Seeing how intense the battle between the Yi clan and the Lan clan was, the Shao clan could take advantage of it. With a command, the Shao clan rushed over fiercely. If the person was still in the Zhuge clan's secret prison, this matter would probably take a lot of effort. But since the person was already in the hands of the Yi clan, it was under their nose. It was rare for the Lan clan to make a move now. The battle was so intense that the Yi clan had already expended a lot of their battle power. If they didn't make a move now, when would they? Once Yi Di returned, everything would be troublesome. Therefore, the people of the Shao clan shouted and rushed over impatiently. Instantly, the battle became even more intense. The three parties fought against each other, no one giving in to the other. Everyone's eyes were red. Lan clan. This is an opportunity that belongs to the Lan clan. Whoever gets Wu Qianshan will gain the friendship of elders Feng and you. How can we give up such a good opportunity? So fight. Yi clan. No matter who gets her, we will be the scapegoat. No matter what, we must protect Wu Qianshan from being snatched away. So the only way is to kill. Shao clan. With the divine tribe elder, the Shao clan can enjoy the huge resources of the 3 stars divine tribe. Their strength will be much higher than the other 8 clans. This is a heaven-defying opportunity. How can we let it go? The treasures of 3 clans. So, fight. The 3 clans each had their own ideas, their own plans, their own ulterior motives, and their own blood-soaked battles. How could this situation be so chaotic? The battle became more and more intense. There was definitely more than one clan that had the same idea as the Shao clan. Another long laugh sounded. How lively. The Ling clan shall join in the fun too. Charge. Get the person out. Then, under the night sky, a snow-white robe with a silver longsword appeared. It was as if an ancient glacier had descended upon the world. It flew over like a shooting star, and in just an instant, it had joined the battle. Shwa shwa shwa, the hissing sounds of sword chi could be heard. The people from the Ling family had also come. The Ling clan had the same thoughts as the Shao clan. Seeing that the Shao clan had made a move, they were afraid that the Shao clan would take advantage of them. The leader was also a decisive person. He made a prompt decision and joined the battle. Then he roared, How can I miss out on such a lively scene? Charge in and get him out. Then he roared, haha, how lively. However, the person must be from the Sure clan. The Sure family also came. After a short while, another figure appeared. With such a great situation, how can the Li clan be willing to be left out? At the same time, another loud shout rang out, our Qin family is here too. The chaos of the scene was already indescribable. The 8 super clans were fighting fiercely here. All the people participating in the battle could no longer tell who their opponents were. In any case, as long as they were not wearing the same clothes as themselves, they would go up and fight. One moment they were fighting with the Shao clan, the next moment they were fighting with the Ling clan. The next moment they were facing the sword of the Ling clan. The chaos of the battle was simply indescribable. As the ground continued to shake, countless houses collapsed with a rumble. Countless people climbed out of the ruins in a sorry state, trembling as they stood. They could still feel the shaking under their feet. Who knew when the ground would suddenly protrude out of nowhere and lift them up into the air? Who knew when a huge pit would suddenly appear in the ground and they would fall into it? If it was a martial artist, it would be fine. But ordinary people would be in big trouble. At this point, only the Qin clan, Shao clan, Sure clan, Ling clan, Qin clan, Li clan and other clans that came later were left. The goal of this clan was clear, to get the elder of the 3 stars divine clan. And they were determined to get it. As for the Yi clan and Lan clan who were the first to get involved in the battle, besides being furious, they could not help but feel strange and aggrieved. We are snatching Wuxia, what are you snatching? What does this have to do with you few clans? Damn it, why are you here to join in the fun? When did this kind of news become so common? A figure in a long linen robe came from afar. From afar, a voice that was close to vomiting blood could be heard. What's going on? What's going on? I say. Why are you guys fighting in our Zhuge clan? You bunch of bastards. You're really going to anger me to death. The people of the Zhuge clan had come. The leader was of course the second grandmaster of the Zhuge clan, Zhuge Hutu. This old man was already so angry that he was foaming at the mouth anxiously. He could not help but be anxious. If they continued fighting, the Zhuge clan would be destroyed. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Zhuge Hutu opened his arms and shouted like a thunderbolt. But they were all from big clans and were used to being domineering. Who cared about who? Do I have to stop fighting just because you say so? How shameful would that be? Besides, each clan had already lost people and seen blood. The Yi clan and Lan clan had the most casualties. Dozens of people from each clan had already died and most of them were martial saint experts. Such experts had great potential, but in today's battle, so many of them had died here. This was simply a great feud. Yi clan and Lan clan even had first and second grade supreme martial artists who were seriously injured. Everyone was already enraged. How could Zhuge Hutu persuade them? Zhuge Hutu persuaded this and that. He was so anxious that his hands were shaking crazily like chicken claws, but it was completely useless. In the end, Zhuge Hutu was also anxious. In a flash, he entered the battle circle. He grabbed one and threw him out. He grabbed another and threw him out again. He didn't dare to kill, but he dared to grab people. He reached out and grabbed, and the person he grabbed lost all resistance. Then he was flung away, flailing his arms and legs. The people of the Zhuge clan at the periphery were catching them. One after another came out. They did not dare to enter. Once they entered, the big clans would definitely be in a mess. At such a delicate moment, who would believe that they were only here to stop the fight? Maybe the Zhuge clan was here to take advantage of the situation? At the same time, the people of the Qin clan, Li clan and Sure clan were all secretly happy. These Zhuge clan idiots, they actually did not know that the person they were guarding had already been lost? Hence, everyone was even more unwilling to say anything. They were secretly making a fortune. Zhuge Shanyun was so anxious that he stomped his feet. He was still confused. Why were these people fighting? Listening to their conversation, it seemed like they were snatching people? But this was even more strange. Because it seemed like the only person who could make them fight was that elder of the divine clan. But that elder was still in the secret prison of his clan. He had just gone to take a look in the afternoon. That place was not only extremely secretive but also heavily guarded. It would definitely not be stolen out. Then who were they snatching? Who was worthy of such a fight? No one noticed that amidst the chaos, a black figure had stepped into the battle in an extremely faintly discernible manner. In this chaotic place he wandered and drifted just like a group of formless ghosts. This person's face was cold, his eyes were sharp and his figure was thin. He looked no different from the ordinary people of the martial world. While everyone's eyes were red from the killing, this person's eyes were extremely calm. In a place filled with dust, It was as if he was strolling in the clouds, free and easy. He was like an extremely dangerous cobra, calmly looking for a chance to deliver a fatal blow. The chance was here. Finally, the black shadow flashed and turned into a residual shadow. With a swoosh, the Shao clan master who bought the information from Yang was stabbed in the back. With a loud roar, he fell forward in disbelief. Fifth young master. Someone at the side roared loudly. He stared at the black-clothed man with eyes that were about to split open. Then he shouted with blood dripping from every word, "Yi clan's people." That person snorted, "Are all people in black from the Yi clan? Ridiculous. You're still denying it? I'll kill you." This expert of the Shao clan rushed over angrily. In such a fierce battle, although everyone was crazy, they still knew what to do. Fighting and killing were fine, but they could never kill the important figures of the other party. For example, the young disciples who came to participate in the medicine banquet to gain experience. So, although the few young masters were in a fight, they were still safe and sound. But no one expected that this person in black from the Yi clan would make the first move and kill the young master of the Shao clan. This enmity was really big. In addition, the Yi clan and the Shao clan had a deep feud to begin with. In the incident in the southeast, both sides lost many people. Everyone had a knot in their hearts. Now that such a thing happened, how could they hold back their emotions? Instantly both clans went crazy. The Shao clan went crazy first, and the Yi clan had no choice but to follow suit. The battle became more and more brutal. When the black-clothed man saw the expert of the Shao clan rushing over, his body flashed and he quickly retreated, dodging the blade and sword shadows. His body twisted a few times and like a fish swimming in water, he skillfully dodged the countless blades, swords, fists and palms that were coming at him from all directions. He almost brushed past the blade and the tip of the sword, but he was still a step too late. With a chi sound, his lapel was torn apart by a sword. Although his bones and muscles were not injured, with a pa sound, a token fell down. Ah! He screamed and wanted to pick up the waste token, but the people of the Shao clan had already surrounded him. If he bent down, he would be chopped into minced meat in an instant. Helpless, he could only dodge. With a swoosh, he flashed into the hall of the Yi clan. A Shao clan expert picked up the waste token with the tip of his sword. A few words were carved on it, #1 clan in the world. Behind it was a name, Yi Chenglong, the unique waste token of the Yi clan. This waste token was the symbol of the Yi clan's power. Chapter 1027. They are indeed from the Yi clan. The Yi clan killed our fifth young master. The expert from the Shao clan cried out in grief. Bullshit. What do you mean by our Yi clan did it? Your fifth young master has been right in front of my eyes for a few times. If you wanted to kill him, you would have done so long ago. An elder from the Yi clan retorted. Fifth young master is already dead. He died right in front of your eyes. He died in the hands of your people. How dare the Yi clan deny it? Yi clan. What kind of heroes are you if you don't dare to admit what you have done? The 4 or 5 saint-level experts of the Shao clan cried out in grief and indignation as they followed closely behind the black-robed man. They did not even care about the swords on their bodies as they followed the black-robed man into the main hall of peaceful Jade Lake. At this moment, in the hall, Yi Shiyu had already broken free from Yi Shifeng. The two brothers glared at each other angrily. They were about to fight. Suddenly, a black figure rushed in. The two of them turned around at the same time. Judging by his attire, he seemed to be from the Shao clan. Just as he was about to ask, he saw that person panicking. With a schwa sound, he hid behind a screen. At the same time he shouted, "Young masters, quickly leave. The Shao clan's people are rushing in." The two of them were shocked. Yi Shiyu was the quickest to react. He jumped out of the window and entered the battlefield. Yi Shifeng hesitated for a while and said, "What happened? How dare the Shao clan rush in? This is just a fight over one person. How could—" Before he finished his sentence, 4 or 5 martial saints from the Shao clan had rushed in. They broke through the wall with their bodies. Smoke and dust filled the air. They came in from 3 directions at the same time. In the blink of an eye, the man in black had disappeared. Only the second young master of the Yi clan, Yi Shifeng, was left in the hall. Suddenly, a thought came to their mind. Since you killed our young master, we will kill your young master too. After all, we are the personal bodyguards of the 5th young master. If the 5th young master dies, we will not be able to live either. Killing one is enough. Killing 2 is a win. At this moment, a few people from the Yi clan who knew that things were not going well had rushed in as well. A few people from the Shao clan looked at each other. Without hesitation, they laughed sinisterly and attacked Yi Shifeng at the same time. They attacked with swords, sabers, fists and palms. They did not even try to dodge the swords, sabers, fists and palms. The few Yi clan members who had rushed over from behind were furious. At the same time he roared, "Don't!" He rushed forward with no regard for his life, but it was already too late. Yi Shifeng roared, "How dare you!" But before he could finish speaking he was struck. These people were all 5th grade martial saints and above. How great was the power of their combined attack! Yi Shifeng only managed to utter 3 words before he was attacked by the 5 of them. With a loud bang his entire body collapsed. Disbelief and disbelief flashed in his eyes as he slowly collapsed. Even in death he refused to believe that the Shao clan actually dared to kill him. He had killed him, the direct descendant of the Yi clan, the 2nd-ranked duke. Were they not afraid that the 2 families would fight to the death? One of the Shao clan's experts sneered. He slashed Yi Shifeng's corpse into 2 halves and said ferociously, "I don't dare?" Another slash. "I don't dare. Fuck you." Behind him, a few of the Yi clan's experts had already rushed forward with bloodshot eyes. More than 10 of them were fighting in the hall. The Shao clan's people were already at the end of their rope. They were at a disadvantage, but they were not afraid. They fought fiercely and fought to the death. Outside, one of the experts from the Yi clan who was about to rush in saw Yi Shifeng's head rolling on the ground. He could not help but yell in fear, "Not good. Second young master has been killed by the Shao clan." This roar was like thunder that came out of nowhere. The Yi clan's people were in a mess and became even more frenzied. An old roar could be heard and a figure flew out from peaceful Jade Lake. It was the Yi clan's expert, the one who had warned Yi Shifeng previously. He did not participate in the fight because of his status. He did not expect that in the blink of an eye, his favorite, great-grandson would die. How could he not be angry? "Shao clan, you've gone too far." He roared and rushed into the battle. He raised his hand and smashed the head of a martial sage from the Shao clan. He roared, "You're forcing me to kill. Start a massacre? You're not worthy. One of your great-grandsons is dead, one of my great-grandsons is dead too. You actually got angry first? Very good, haha, very good. The people of the Yi clan are indeed unreasonable." A sinister laughter could be heard and a green figure appeared in front of him. His eyes were filled with disdain. The 2 old ancestors roared and started to fight with each other. The Shao clan and Yi clan's people were completely crazy. The atmosphere was boiling and they started to kill each other. In an instant, the battle cries filled the air. From afar, a few figures flew over anxiously from different directions. In the hall of the Yi clan, a hole appeared on the wall behind the screen. The man in black who was originally hiding there had disappeared without a trace. Only a few people from the Shao clan and Yi clan were left fighting. The black figure flashed like a ghost and quickly came to the door of Yi Shifeng's room. He knocked on the door and said in a low voice, "The situation outside is not good. The elder said to bring this girl away first. Otherwise it will be really bad." Inside there were 2 4th-grade martial saints guarding Wuxian. The 2 of them were already flustered when they heard the battle cries outside. At this moment, when they heard this voice, it was as if they had just woken up from a dream. It was as if they had found their backbone. Under such circumstances, how could they have the time to distinguish whether this news was true or false? They walked towards the bed. They wanted to carry Wuxian and leave with the person who came. The 2 of them had already checked before this. This Wuxian was indeed under the influence of the drug. Although she was conscious now, she did not have the strength to move at all. Therefore she was not prepared at all. Just as they walked to the bed, they saw Wuxian's eyes suddenly open. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. Then, the blanket covering Wuxian suddenly broke into pieces. The next moment, Wuxian's hand lit up with a dazzling saber radiance. She slashed out at lightning speed and ruthlessly slashed the necks of the 2 martial saints who were close to her. The 2 of them were already flustered and unprepared. Who would have thought that this Wuxian, who was under the influence of the drug and had been lying motionless like a fish on a chopping block, would suddenly attack? The saber radiance suddenly appeared and they were instantly hit. The person on the left did not even have time to make a sound before his head flew out. It was only when his head hit the ceiling that he subconsciously put his hands into a defensive position. The person on the right reacted faster. In the face of danger, he tilted his head. He actually clamped the blade of the saber tightly. However, the saber had already sliced off 1/3 of his neck. Then Wuxian's 2 legs flew up consecutively. Peng peng peng, she consecutively kicked his chest more than 10 times. The last kick was ruthlessly on his chin. He actually let out a loud roar and staggered backwards. A pillar of blood spurted out from his neck like a fountain. He spat out blood crazily, but he actually did not die immediately. The room door suddenly opened. A black figure flew in like a flash of lightning. This person could no longer speak. His vision was blurry. When he saw the black figure, he thought that it was one of them. He covered his neck with both hands. He pointed at Wu Qianqian. She. That person laughed coldly and his sword flashed. He ruthlessly stabbed into his heart. Then he swung his sword. A human head flew into the air. Then the black figure pulled Wu Qianqian's hand. Let's go quickly. Your teacher is coming. Wu Qianqian smiled slightly. Her face revealed a satisfied expression. She took out a mask to cover her face and allowed that person to hold her hand. The two of them moved quickly. They went out from the window and quietly arrived at the bottom of the dilapidated wall. The two of them looked at each other and then sped up at the same time. Ping, ping, ping. They knocked down a few experts who were fighting here. The two of them were like a pair of shooting stars, disappearing with a swoosh. This black figure was, of course, Chuyang. Ever since that night when Yi Shifeng wanted to kill him at Shuiyu restaurant, Chuyang had already sentenced him to death in his heart. Just because Chuyang and Yi Shiyu were at loggerheads, or in another way he actually wanted to take Chuyang's life. One had to know that Chuyang would never kill Yi Shiyu at that time. Even in the big clans he would not personally kill the male offspring of any clan before they were fully grown. That was no different from digging one's own grave. Yi Shifeng was also clear about this point. But Yi Shifeng wanted to take Chuyang's life at that time. Therefore, no matter what, Chuyang would not allow him to continue living. If he had to kill, he would kill. Chuyang was decisive. Chuyang would never keep a scourge who wanted to kill him by his side. Now that there was such an opportunity, he would definitely get rid of him. No matter what method he used. Now that Yi Shifeng was dead, the Shao clan and the Yi clan had become mortal enemies. Chuyang naturally had to drag Wu Qianqian along. If Elders Feng and Yu rescued Wu Qianqian, then things would not be fun. Just after Chuyang and Wu Qianqian left, a white figure came from afar as fast as the wind. Before the person arrived, a thunderous roar was heard. All of you stop. This shout was truly earth-shattering and water flowing backward. The roar was filled with endless anger. Everyone who was fighting on the ground felt their ears buzzing and their heads spinning. The buildings within a radius of more than 10 miles all collapsed with a loud boom. Some of the weaker cultivators were even shaken to the point of bleeding from their 7 orifices. They were almost shaken to death. The person who came was dressed in white, with a handsome face and an elegant figure. He was one of the 5 untouchables, Yu Lingxue. When he received the news, he immediately returned to Jiaxiu building. After circling around Jiaxiu building, he immediately came here again. After hurrying, he finally made it in time for the battle. Zhuge Hutu tried his best but did not succeed in getting everyone to stop. Now that Yu Lingxue roared, everyone actually stopped in unison. Chapter 1028. Once Yu Lingxue said this, most of the people present were stunned. Especially the Shao clan, Shi clan, and other big clans. They were all stunned. What did this have to do with Yu Lingxue's disciple? Why did Yu Lingxue suddenly ask for a disciple? It couldn't be that the elder of the 3 Stars Divine clan was Yu Lingxue's disciple, right? The people of the Yi clan were stunned. In their hearts, Wuxian was still in their peaceful Jade Lake. Now that the house had collapsed, did she die? The people of the Lan clan were suddenly energized. Lan Changa stepped forward and said, Senior, the people of the Yi clan used despicable means to kidnap Wuxian and wanted to do something bad. Coincidentally, the Lan clan saw it. No matter what, the Lan clan has a deep friendship with you. Hence, we acted bravely and chased after them. However, the people of the Yi clan were shameless and held Wuxian and refused to hand her over. Hence, we fought with them. As Yu Lingxue left first, he didn't know the whole story. He nodded and said, Thank you. Suddenly, a white figure came from afar. It was Feng Yuro. She arrived with her voice and landed beside Yu Lingxue. She gave Lan Changa a big slap and sent him flying into the air. He spun 50 rounds in the air and didn't fall down. What are you? Yu Lingxue looked at his angry wife. This is the evil plan of the Lan clan. They wanted to kidnap Qianqian first and then force Lan Muxue to hold the 2 of us back. Then they framed the Yi clan and snatched Qianqian away. However, they couldn't detoxify the poison. Then this guy used sexual intercourse to detoxify the poison so that we couldn't blame him. This is all done by the Lan clan. Feng Yuro was trembling with anger. She said hatefully, This is the people we trusted. This is the friendship between us and the Lan clan. We are really blind. Until she finished speaking, Lan Changa's body fell to the ground with a loud thud and fainted. Yu Lingxue was trembling with anger. His handsome face was also pale with anger. He turned his head suddenly and looked at the people of the Lan clan with a sharp gaze. Is this true? The experts of the Lan clan looked as if they were struck by lightning. They all avoided his gaze. Seeing such a situation, how could Yu Lingxue not understand the truth of the matter? It was the female senior who fought with us that day who told us. How could it be fake? Feng Yuro's words were simply adding fuel to the fire. Yu Lingxue threw his head back and laughed loudly. His laughter was filled with grief and indignation. What a great Lan clan! What a good Lan Muxia! What a great show of affection! Treating us like fools, ha! Good, good, good. When he said the last three good, his face was already filled with a murderous aura. Every word was spoken with a pause, and the murderous intent in his voice made one's hair stand on end. The other clans sensed that something was amiss. Could it be that this matter was not that? Instead, it was a misunderstanding? Thinking of this, each of them felt so depressed that they wanted to die. He couldn't help but want to retreat. All of you stand still. Who moved? Who's going to die? Yu Lingxue's words were like spring thunder as he roared. Immediately, everyone froze on the spot as if they had been hit by the body-fixing technique. Not to mention leaving, he didn't even dare to tremble. What if he trembled and Yu Lingxue thought that he had moved? Wouldn't he die in vain? Yu Lingxue was already unable to restrain his anger. Such a gentle and carefree person actually blurted out the word, old. Lan clan, take a step forward. Yi clan, take a step forward. Yu Lingxue's eyes were slightly sharp as he ordered in a low voice. His voice seemed to be squeezed out from the gaps of his teeth. This time, it was the Yi clan's turn to feel relieved. Their grievances were finally redressed. At this moment there was actually a feeling of dispersing the clouds and seeing the clear sky. They took a step forward happily. The Lan clan's people were much more helpless. They took a step forward slowly. Yu Lingxue glared and struck out his palms. Instantly, two 7th-grade martial saints who were hesitating but didn't step forward were turned into two piles of minced meat without even making a sound. Yu Lingxue said coldly, "Too slow." This time there was almost no need for urging. Everyone from the Lan clan took a big step forward very quickly. Yi clan, send someone to send my disciple out. Yu Lingxue ordered without turning back. Yes. The leading supreme martial artist of the Yi clan responded excitedly. He instructed a martial saint expert behind him, quickly go and invite Wuxia out. Yes. The martial saint expert answered excitedly and ran in like a wisp of smoke. The leading supreme martial artist of the Yi clan turned to Yu Lingxue and said somewhat charmingly, Supreme Yu, ever since Wuxian was sent to us by the Lan clan, we have seen through the Lan clan's evil scheme. We have been diligent in taking care of Wuxian and have never dared to be disrespectful. Now Wuxian is still safe and sound. This, I dare to use my life to guarantee to Supreme Yu. Okay. Yu Lingxue nodded slowly. Knowing that his brother was safe, he heaved a sigh of relief. However, the expression on his face didn't soften but became even more severe. Looking at the Lan clan, he asked, whose idea was this? The Lan clan's people looked at each other. A few of them couldn't help but cast a glance at Lan Chang'e, who was unconscious on the ground. This small one's idea? Yu Lingxue stretched out his hand and exerted a suction force. Lan Chang'e's body flew up and landed at his feet. Yu Lingxue gave him a kick. Lan Chang'e gave a horrible shriek and immediately woke up. Once he woke up, he cried out in fear, I'm innocent. Yu Lingxue snorted coldly. He stretched out his finger and tapped on Lan Chang'e's body 3 times. Suddenly, on Lan Chang'e's body, although he was wearing clothes, one could still see that his whole body's muscles suddenly swelled up. Strips of green veins popped out like earthworms, and then continued to bulge, roll, and entangle. The highest level of tendon dislocation technique. Lan Chang'e gave a horrible shriek that didn't sound like a human's voice and rolled around. However, after 2 cracking sounds, he opened his mouth and couldn't make any sound. Who did this? Yu Lingxue looked at Lan Chang'e, who was rolling on the ground indifferently, and asked indifferently. A man in green walked out from the Lan clan's camp in a flash and said proudly, I was the one who abducted Wuxian. The original plan was quite good, who knew that it was a treacherous scheme to get rid of her. Since the matter has been exposed, I have nothing to say. I will use my life to atone for my sins to Supreme Yu. I hope Supreme Yu will not implicate other people. He said these words very quickly. After he finished, he didn't hesitate at all. He directly raised his hand and slapped his own head. In an instant his brain juice burst out. His body shook twice and fell to the ground. Everyone kept quiet out of fear. Yu Lingxue smiled cruelly and said, Did I let you die? How can it be so easy to die? Come back. Yulingxue suddenly shouted. His two hands kept making complicated gestures. Everyone could see with their own eyes that in the night sky, a cloud of hazy fog gradually took shape. Slowly, it became a little person the size of a finger. Everyone could see clearly that although the little person formed by the strange fog was small, his face and limbs were all intact. It was the face of the martial saint who had just committed suicide. At this moment, his face was full of horror. Yulingxue stretched out his hand and held the little person in his palm. He said indifferently, "You actually want to die and reincarnate as a human? Since you have done such a thing, don't talk about being a human, I will make it so that you can't even be a ghost." Suddenly, purple gas appeared on his face. He clenched his 5 fingers and shouted, "Destroy both your body and soul." Suddenly, with a soft puff, the little person's body suddenly exploded and turned into a faint fog that drifted in the air. Godly soul. Yulingxue actually didn't even let off a dead person. He first condensed the godly soul and then shattered it. It was clear to see how furious he was. At this moment, Lan Changa, who was on the ground, didn't even have the strength to roll. Even on his head, a few green veins were bulging, as if a pile of strange lumps had grown on his head. His chin was forcefully torn apart by the green veins, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. His tongue was even sticking out and he didn't even have the strength to breathe. At this time, the Yi clan expert who went into Peaceful Jade Lake ran out with a panicked expression. Looking at him, it was obvious that he was panicking to the extreme. This kind of expert actually fell down the stairs with a plop sound. Not good, not good. His lips trembled and his eyes were full of fear and panic. His whole body was also trembling strangely like an epileptic abscess. Wuxian is gone. Gone? The supreme martial artist of the Yi clan, who had been smiling happily as he watched the Lan clan being punished, suddenly froze. Then he jumped up in anger and said, "How could it be gone?" Gone? Upon hearing this, Yulingxue was furious. He grabbed the supreme martial artist of the Yi clan by his collar and dragged him in front of himself. "Bastard! What about your promise? Don't tell me that you enjoyed watching the Lan clan play tricks on us and now you want to play tricks on us too." No. I definitely didn't mean that." The supreme martial artist of the Yi clan was scared out of his wits. He saw the anger and anxiety in Yulingxue's eyes and knew that Yulingxue had reached the point where he could massacre the entire city if he didn't agree with him. He didn't dare to be negligent and explained hurriedly, "Senior Yu? I was still here just now. I was still here. Alright. Was it already taken away by the Lan clan?" Yulingxue let go of him and kicked Lan Changa's body. Immediately, he released Lan Changa's bone-splitting technique and kicked him up again. Yulingxue said angrily, "Where is my disciple?" Lan Changa heaved a sigh of relief and gasped for breath. He wanted to cry but had no tears. He said, I really don't know. This really wasn't done by us." He knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly, crying bitterly. Chapter 1029. Since you don't know, then die. Yulingxue roared furiously and kicked Lan Changa far away. Lan Changa was torn into pieces in midair and blood rained down on the ground. He yelled furiously, "Everyone who is here today will have a share. If you can't hand over my disciple, don't even think about living. Don't even think about living." Once this sentence came out, the faces of the Shao clan, Shi clan and Li clan turned ashen. Damn it, they were really cheated this time. Everyone now knew that tonight's matter was completely a huge misunderstanding. In other words, they had been ruthlessly schemed against. Tonight, there was no such thing as divine clan elder. It was completely the Lan clan who kidnapped Yulingxue's disciple and framed the Yi clan. They just wanted to reduce one opponent. However, he and the others had stepped into this place in a daze. In the current situation, it was completely impossible for them to retreat. Yulingxue was obviously half crazy now. Who dared to move? When they thought about how their own clans had not only created a huge enmity but also paid the price of the lives of dozens of experts for such a shameful matter that had nothing to do with them, they couldn't help but want to cry but have no tears. What was this? Feng Yuro's light figure had already circled around Peaceful Jade Lake like lightning. She came back and shook her head heavily. No. Yulingxue's face was gloomy. He only felt that his chest was about to explode. For more than 10,000 years, when had he and his wife ever suffered such humiliation? They were actually played in the palm of someone's hand. And the person who deceived them, framed them and even wanted to continue using them was actually the Lan clan that both of them thought had a good relationship with them. This was a huge blow to the Moonbreeze couple. It was simply unimaginable. Their beloved disciple was missing. Not knowing her whereabouts made both of them even more furious. Bang 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 bang. A series of muffled sounds rang out. Yulingxue had already flown back. In this muffled sound, each of the great clans had already lost one person. Each clan lost an 8th grade martial saint expert. The smell of blood filled the air. Everyone's face was filled with fear as they looked at Yulingxue in shock. This one of the 5 great clans that couldn't be provoked had obviously gone berserk. He actually started a massacre just like that. Yulingxue's face was gloomy. Standing in the middle of the field, he looked at them one by one with murderous eyes. He said coldly, "I don't care if you are innocent or not. Since you are here today, your purpose is clear. You're just making use of my disciple to force me and my wife. That's all." Yulingxue said cruelly, "You and I have never accepted any threats for more than 10,000 years. From now on, for every 3 breaths of time, as long as my disciple doesn't appear. The S until alt. Until all. TI. Over, SSS, TTTTIS, TS for 10, S, TT, TIS, question mark. Overview. Hint, every time he said a sentence, his tone would become heavier. In the end, his voice and expression were stern. His voice was like thunder, and his words were like lightning that flashed across the sky. A supreme martial artist from the Shao clan said bravely, "Master Yu, we really didn't know about this. It's a misunderstanding. We were here too." Yulingxue didn't care. He raised 3 fingers and said, 3 breaths time starts now. As long as my disciple appears, I will only pursue the culprit. If he doesn't, don't blame me for being merciless. He looked up at the sky and roared, 1. He bent 1 finger. There was a commotion in the crowd. Someone couldn't help but shout, "Who took Wuxian away? It's better to hand him over quickly. Don't tell me you want everyone to die together?" Once this person shouted, everyone agreed with him. At this moment, everyone didn't blame Yulingxue that much. If they were Yulingxue, they would probably explode even more fiercely than now. Not only was he deceived by someone he trusted, the only brother he was satisfied with was also missing. Who wouldn't be angry? Everyone started cursing. Who was so wicked? It's fine if you want to die, but why did you have to drag us down? Yulingxue roared angrily again and bent another finger. "Master Yu?" An elder from the Shao clan said anxiously, "Master Yu, you said 3 breaths time. How can 1 breath's time pass so quickly? Master Yu, you're counting too fast." Yulingxue said coldly, "I'm talking about 3 breaths time for ordinary people. Am I talking about 3 breaths time for supreme martial artists? Then wouldn't I have to wait here with you for 3 months? Where would I get so much free time?" Everyone was speechless. "So you're talking about 3 breaths time for ordinary people? Supreme martial artists actually calculated time like this? I haven't killed for a long time. Looks like this world has forgotten me." Yulingxue laughed loudly and roared, 3. Do it. Feng Yuro responded. "Wait." A supreme martial artist from the Shi clan shouted, "Master Yu, the Dharma Supreme is right here. Will Master Yu leave some face for the Dharma Supreme?" Yulingxue smiled coldly. "Even if the Dharma Supreme is riding on your head now, I'll still kill whoever I want today. Dharma Supreme? Why should I give him face? If others don't give me face, why should others give me face?" "Kill?" Yulingxue ordered with hatred. Feng Yuro flew up lightly. Suddenly, thousands of rays of sword light shot out from her hand, surging forward like a river. The supreme martial artist who asked to give face to the Dharma Supreme was the first to be killed by Feng Yuro. His whole body was minced into meat paste. Then the other 8 clans also lost a martial saint each. "Since you want face, I'll give you face. I'll let you die first." The atmosphere became even heavier. 1. Yulingxue raised his right hand and raised 3 fingers again. A cruel smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Everyone was in an uproar. Some people had already started cursing in grief and indignation. Who abducted Wuxian? Fuck your ancestors. A real man should take responsibility for his actions. How can you not dare to take responsibility for your actions? How can you just let others die for you here? Bastards without assholes. Bastards. Bastards. Hurry up and send Wuxian out. Hurry up and come out. What's the use of capturing Wuxian? Master, you will never accept threats. This bastard deserves to be hacked into pieces. Everyone. The people from the Zhuge clan were the most wronged. They were here to maintain order and to stop the fight. They were here to mediate, but they were pulled in unreasonably by Yulingxue, who then swiftly dealt them a fatal blow. There was no need to talk about this injustice. The crowd was in an uproar. Although they didn't dare to move, everyone's mouths weren't idle. One by one they cursed and swore endlessly. The murderous look on Yu Lingshua's face became more and more intense. "Hold on." A voice called out. Soon after, a few figures arrived with a whoosh. Acquaintances: Yidi Xiaosei Shijing, Li Xiangxi Ling Fengyun, Qinmingqi Qingqiu. The 7 of them stood in front of his clan at the same time. A bitter smile appeared on Yidi's face. "Master Yu, please calm down and calm down. Let's sort this out later, how about it? Master Yu, please give us some time on account of our clan." Yu Lingxua snorted and put down his hand. "Yidi, since you brought out your ancestors, I'll give you a chance. However, you have to understand one thing. That disciple of mine is a girl. You should know what girls are most afraid of?" Yidi hurriedly said, I know. Senior, don't worry." Murderous intent flashed across Yu Lingshua's eyes. "If anything happens to you because of this period of time, I'll slaughter your Yi clan. Do you understand?" Yidi's eyes flashed with anger. He said, "Thank you for your time. You only have the time of an incense stick." Yu Lingxua put his hands behind his back and said, "After 5 minutes, I want to see the result. If there's no result, there's no need for 3 breaths. Everyone here will be killed without mercy." After that, he walked out of the circle with Feng Yuro. When they were about 7 to 8 feet away, they paid attention to this side. Yidi and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. They hurriedly gathered their own people and quickly discussed and understood the situation. But when these second patriarchs saw their own clansmen dead or wounded, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their hearts ached. These people were the elites of their respective clans. Now so many of them died here. Now that the Tribulation Sword Master was about to kill his way to the upper 3 heavens, losing such strength was simply an unexpected disaster. Especially Xiao Sei and Yi Di of the Xiao clan. After hearing their subordinate's description, both of them looked up and glanced at each other. This glance was full of meaning. "Xiao Sei, your people killed my great-grandson. This is the rising star that our clan nurtured. Yi Di, your people also killed my great-grandson. This is the hope of the younger generation that our clan nurtured. However, it's obviously unwise to settle this score now." Following which, everyone quickly summarized the situation. After this summary, Xiao Sei, Shijing, Ling Fengyun, Li Xiangxi, Qinmingqi and Qingqiu almost fainted on the spot. If they really fought over the matter of the Saint Race's elders, then it would be excusable. However, the problem was not that. They had been fooled. There was no news at all. They didn't know what the wrong medicine was in their own clans. They actually fought for no reason. Until now, each of the 8 super clans had enmity with the other 7 clans. Besides offending Yu Lingxua and Feng Yuro, they didn't gain anything other than anger. Even the reason was a joke. In the end, after a round of discussion, everyone came up with a path and a person's name. At this moment, it really entered the ears of these experts. Chuyang. Chapter 1030. Chuyang. The news of Yi Shifeng, Meng Sei, Xiao clan, Ling clan and Shi clan were all obtained from Chuyang. And Chuyang had been in close contact with the Lan clan during this period of time. He drank with the 3rd son of the Lan clan, Lan Changa, every day. As a result, this led to today's incident. Who was Chuyang? This name suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Although the upper 3 heavens was big, everyone was well informed. They were all influential figures. So, everyone knew in their hearts that when this Chu guy suddenly popped out of nowhere? When this question was raised, everyone was confused. Who was he? How could he cause such heavy casualties among the big clans? Facing Yi Di's confused gaze, Yi Xiu thought for a while and finally gave the 7th answer. Chuyang. I met him during the battle at the Lake of Despair in the upper 3 heavens. He's a very capable and talented rising star. He has nothing and fights with his bare hands, but he can make all the big clans in the upper 3 heavens follow his lead. He is very loyal and affectionate. Furthermore, he is very straightforward and likable. Yi Xiu's description was full of praises for Chuyang. This made the other members of the Yi family very confused, and they were also very surprised. This made Yi Di's eyes flash as he listened to him. However, this person is also ruthless. Sometimes he will do anything to achieve his goals. All in all, if we were to evaluate this person, it would be that he is neither a good nor a bad person. He has his own principles and bottom line. It would be very blissful to be friends with such a person, but to be enemies with such a person would be very troublesome. Yi Xiu smiled bitterly. In the upper 3 heavens I did not take him seriously. But after coming to the upper three heavens, especially after coming to Qinji City, I realized that this person is not simple. For so many years I have been teasing others. He is the only one who can disgust me. Yi Shiyu said the seventh part. Even in such a heavy atmosphere, people couldn't help but want to laugh. From the upper three heavens? And to be able to create such a huge storm? Then this young man is not simple. Yi Di pondered and suddenly said, "This Chu Yang. Could it be the Tribulation Sword Master?" Yi Shiyu frowned and pondered for a while before saying, "I don't think so. According to my investigation, he had already entered the upper three heavens when Tribulation Sword Master caused the phenomenon in the sky." Yi Di replied with an "oh," and said, "Capture this Chu Yang when you have time. Let me see." The same question was repeated in the other big families and the answers were mixed. Meng Se said, "I was the one who went to look for Chu Yang. He was in the Orchard Palace." Although Dream Se knew that he had been tricked, he had nothing to say about it. The other families also said the same thing. Who would dare to lie to the old ancestor? Naturally, he repeated what Chu Yang had told him. Hearing this, all the ancestors frowned deeply. Qing Cho said angrily, "If that's the case, you can't blame him?" What he said was, "The Lan clan will definitely make a move tonight. And you, who went to scout for information, didn't even ask what kind of operation it was? Why did you fall in head first?" Everyone looked ashamed. They felt so ashamed that they couldn't show their faces. Yes, the Lan family would take action. Why did the Lan family take action? Why did they come? Wasn't it because of that elder of the divine clan? Therefore, everyone naturally thought that the Lan family must have initiated such an operation to snatch the elder of the divine clan. Naturally, everyone followed suit. Who would have thought that this operation wasn't that operation? At such a critical juncture, the Lan family actually came up with such an operation. Therefore, everyone followed suit. Therefore, everyone fell into the trap together. Everyone died together. Everyone felt aggrieved together. Everyone was wronged together. This meant that they couldn't take revenge even though they had been tricked? At the very least, they couldn't take revenge openly. Because what the other party said was the truth. It was just that they had misunderstood. This was a misconception in their thinking. And Chu Yang. He had made use of the preconceived notions of the big families. He had artificially created a misconception in their thinking and made them unable to say anything. Yes, you came to me to ask about the Lan family's operation, and what I gave you was indeed the news of the Lan family's operation. And the Lan family had indeed taken action within the time period that I mentioned. What are you blaming me for? If this matter itself was a conspiracy by the Lan family against the big families, then so be it. Chu Yang could still be considered an accomplice. But the Lan family was only targeting the Yi family, and the current situation was that the Lan family had gone for wool and come home shorn. They were the family that had suffered the most losses. Accomplice? That was even more out of the question. This discovery made the second grandmasters of the big families even more aggrieved and gloomy. Damn it, how could there be such a thing? Shi Jing, who was a little hot-tempered, couldn't help but curse. You bought real news with real money, but you were really tricked. Spending money to buy your own willingness to be tricked, you guys are really something. The second grandmasters, who finally knew the truth of the matter, looked at each other, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. It would be fine if only one family said so, but it just so happened that all the big families said so. For a moment there was a doubt. Did Chu Yang deliberately set up a trap? Or did he not know at all? Everyone discussed for a while and felt that the possibility of it being a trap was close to success, but the possibility of him not knowing was only 40%. No matter what, he couldn't escape. Chu Yang. At this moment, this name was engraved in the minds of all the powerful people. Taking revenge in the open would only make people think that this big family was petty. It was an open deal, but after suffering a loss they actually wanted to take revenge. It was simply unreasonable. But in the dark, Chu Yang was probably in a lot of trouble. On the other side, Yu Lingxue said impatiently, "Have you all finished discussing? I want my disciple now." Yi Di and the rest hurriedly asked about Wu Qianqian, and the more they heard, the more they felt troubled. What exactly was going on? Why was it getting more and more confusing? Quickly go and find her. The few grandmasters ordered at the same time. Time passed bit by bit and the people kept coming back, bringing back the same answer. Nothing. Yu Lingxue's brows were tightly knitted, and the murderous look in his eyes became more and more intense. Finally he let out a long roar. Enough. Are you all done acting? Do you really want to force me to go on a killing spree? At this moment a faint voice said, "Brother Yu, you can't say things like going on a killing spree so casually." The voice was very indifferent. But it was full of supreme majesty. There was a burst of mist in the space in front, and a man in black suddenly appeared. He stood in the air with his hands behind his back, his black robe fluttering in the wind, his black hair parted, and he looked at everyone with indifference and arrogance. Dharma Supreme? Yu Lingshua's eyes narrowed slightly and he said indifferently, "You want to stop me from going on a killing spree?" The Dharma Supreme said indifferently, "At least when I'm here. You have to give me some face, okay?" Yu Lingshua shook his head slightly and said solemnly, "No." No. The Dharma Supreme's eyes were warm. His voice was gentle but a huge force came from nowhere. He said indifferently, "We've known each other for more than 10,000 years. I'm just asking for some face from my old brother, and you're not going to give it?" Yu Lingshua shook his head slightly and said, "It's indeed not good." He raised his head slightly, his eyes sharp. Looking at the Dharma Supreme, he said softly but firmly, "You and I have different paths." Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The Moon Breeze couple and the Dharma Supreme had finally shed all pretense of cordiality today. Not even giving him face. Even more clearly, in front of everyone in the big clans he said this sentence again. "You and I have different paths." This sentence had been said at the city gate back then. But at that time Yu Lingshua had come to inform them. Before the battle. Inform first and then have a proper battle. This was the rule of the martial world, the greatest respect to one's opponent. So at that time they didn't think much of it. But now, when the Dharma Supreme asked for some face and said this sentence again, it was a ruthless and merciless falling out. Although Yu Lingshua was angry because of his brother, saying such words and doing such a thing at this moment, undoubtedly it was a little too much. Murderous intent flashed in the Dharma Supreme's eyes. Then he put his hands behind his back and smiled lightly. However, everyone could clearly sense that the aura of a sovereign that descended from the heavens had become a little more intense. The next moment. Just like that, he walked down step by step from the air as if he was stepping on the stairs. Everyone saw that the Dharma Supreme was still in the air, but the next moment he was already standing on the ground. However, everyone could clearly feel that the Dharma Supreme was still slowly walking down step by step. The contrast between extreme movement and extreme stillness in the same action had an unparalleled visual impact on everyone. Many of the people present were utmost exalted level cultivators. However, even they were mistaken. Yu Lingshua's pupils shrank slightly. He said indifferently, "Dharma Supreme, your lawful embodiment of heaven and earth has improved again." The Dharma Supreme smiled with his hands behind his back. "Brother Yu is right. I was lucky to have improved again. Brother Yu, don't tell me that you want to fight with me now? You and your wife are the people I don't want to be enemies with the most in this world." He sighed softly. "It's not because of your martial skills, but because of our 10,000 years of friendship." He shook his head, his long black hair fluttering in the wind. There was an indescribable elegance, but there was an eerie coldness. "I don't want to destroy that friendship." Feng Yuro looked at the Dharma Supreme warily. She moved slightly closer to her husband. In fact, with their cultivations and special cultivation techniques, they could transmit their cultivations to each other even if they were hundreds of feet apart, let alone close to each other. But for some reason, when the Dharma Supreme appeared this time, Feng Yuro actually had a feeling that he could separate her from her husband. She couldn't help but take a step forward. Yu Lingshua was silent for a moment, then he smiled indifferently. "Actually, on the day I left Law Enforcement City, you should have known that our friendship is no longer there." Chapter 1031. Yu Lingshua smiled suavely. "If the Dharma Supreme insists on stopping me from doing things, then I have such intentions." The Dharma Supreme smiled. "Actually, I understand what you mean. Although the Lan clan has offended you this time, you are also using this as a pretext to make a fuss. You want to use this as a reason to destroy my plan of nourishing the heavens in advance." Yu Lingshua was silent for a moment before he said, "You are going against the heavens to nourish the heavens. It will never succeed. The mission of the law enforcement officers for 100,000 years is not something that you alone can change." The Dharma Supreme smiled indifferently. "Whether it can be done or not depends on your ability." Yu Lingshua said dully, "Yes. Come." The Dharma Supreme did not move, but at this moment he gave off the feeling that he was 100,000 feet tall, looking down on all living things. He said indifferently, "I invite you and your wife to battle with me. A battle to settle all enmity, a battle to decide the fate of the 7th Division, a battle to be merciless, a battle to decide life and death." Yu Lingshua looked up and laughed. "That's right, a battle to be merciless, a battle to decide life and death. Dharma Supreme, since you want to decide life and death, then we will sacrifice our lives to accompany you today. Feng Yuro let out a clear whistle and unsheathed her sword. The Dharma Supreme was still smiling indifferently. Let's battle. His hands, which were behind his back, finally lowered slowly. Then he raised them gently, his black robes fluttering. With a stretch of his hand, he made an inviting gesture. Come and battle. It was such a gesture that suddenly the entire night sky, the entire heaven and earth, was filled with a deathly invitation. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. At this moment, the Dharma Supreme had already merged his body with the heaven and earth. At this moment he was the heaven and earth. When he attacked, the heavens moved. When he retreated, the earth fled. No matter who it was, if they attacked him at this moment, it would be as if they were battling the heaven and earth at the same time. How could a person win against the heavens? Although the Dharma Supreme spoke indifferently, his heart was already filled with murderous intent. He wanted to unleash his greatest power in the shortest time possible to defeat or kill the Feng and Yu couple. If he could do it, then his prestige in the heavens would be even greater. He would completely suppress Ning Tianya's 7th Division and Bu Luqing. Moreover, the invincible state of mind, belonging to the strong, would be even stronger. If he won this battle, he would even have the confidence to fight against Ning Tianya and Bu Luqing at the same time. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. It was heart-tempering. The bigger your heart, the stronger your cultivation. A person who often wins and a person who often loses have a different mindset. The Dharma Supreme often won, but what he needed more was a victory against two pinnacle experts at the same time. Yu Lingxue and Feng Yuro straightened their bodies at the same time and said indifferently, "Please." The husband and wife's eyes were sharp and firm, and an abundant aura soared into the sky. With the determination to go forward without turning back. It collided with the Dharma Supreme's aura that had merged with the heavens and earth. In an instant, the wind and clouds in the sky changed color. In the cold winter night, with a boom, the wind and clouds scattered in all directions, revealing the entire deep night sky. Stars twinkled. With such momentum, even Yi Di and the others couldn't help but take a big step back. The three auras intertwined together. If these three people wanted to fight as long as they made a move. In this world there was probably no one who could separate the three of them. No one would have thought that the Moon Breeze couple would have reached the point where the Dharma Supreme had no choice but to fight so early. Everyone in the Zhuge clan had complicated expressions. They hoped that the Dharma Supreme would make a move and destroy the Moon Breeze couple, but also hoped that they wouldn't fight. No matter who won or lost this battle, even if the Moon Breeze couple died, or if the three of them perished together. But the Zhuge clan's base was destined to be gone. The crowd watched with bated breaths. Watching this battle of the pinnacle that was about to begin. It looked like these three pinnacle experts were going to fight together. Suddenly, swoosh. A sharp sword aura cut across the sky. This sword aura was bright and dazzling, and actually lit up the whole world in an instant. Even if the scorching sun suddenly appeared in the sky, it wouldn't be as bright as this. The source of this sword aura was actually 10,000 feet away. Just like that, it came over in such a majestic manner, as if it had split the whole night sky into two halves. A voice said indifferently, "Dharma Supreme, if you make a move today, I also want to try your divine embodiment of heaven and earth." He laughed hoarsely and said indifferently, "I don't know if the divine embodiment of heaven and earth is better, or if my merciful sword is unique." Bu Luqing. Everyone was shocked. This supreme martial artist actually chose to make a move at such a time. Moreover, his stance was obviously on the side of supreme martial artist Feng and Moon. The Dharma Supreme's gaze froze. He said indifferently, "Brother Bu, why do you have to do this?" The aura and state of mind that he had accumulated to the peak were completely shattered by Bu Luqing's words. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Is it because he didn't come out to help me that I can't do this? No need to do this. From afar, Bu Luqing's voice said indifferently, "Even you can't hold it in and want to make a move. My composure is weaker than yours." The Dharma Supreme laughed bitterly. "Brother Bu, if I don't make a move, everyone here will be killed by the Moon Breeze couple." As he spoke, his aura was slowly dissipating. He knew that with Bu Luqing here and with such an attitude, he was destined to not be able to fight this battle. The Dharma Supreme might not care about Bu Luqing now. However, the problem was that Bu Luqing and Ning Tianya were one and the same. Offending Bu Luqing was equivalent to offending Ning Tianya at the same time. The Dharma Supreme dared to face Yu Lingxue and Feng Yuro at the same time with absolute confidence. However, he definitely didn't have the confidence to face both Bu Luqing and Ning Tianya at the same time. Therefore, Bu Luqing's appearance this time was really impeccable. Although he had helped the Moon Breeze couple at the same time, he had also greatly reduced the Dharma Supreme's confidence. Because the Dharma Supreme didn't dare to make a move now. Once a person's heart had the word "don't dare," there would also be fear. With fear, confidence would also plummet. Moreover, what the Dharma Supreme cultivated was the heart. On one hand, Bu Luqing had some friendship with the Moon Breeze couple. On the other hand, it was also because he felt the Dharma Supreme's rising battle interest and excitement, that he suddenly came out to stop him. He knew that if the Dharma Supreme passed this hurdle, he would probably be completely above him. Therefore, Bu Luqing didn't hesitate to make a move. Although he didn't really start the battle, he had already dealt a heavy blow to the Dharma Supreme. This blow was aimed at the Dharma Supreme's heart. It was a vital spot. Bu Luqing smiled coldly. Whether the people here live or die, whether they are killed by the Moon Breeze couple or not, it has nothing to do with me. I only know that once you make a move, you will be the first Dharma Supreme to be killed and fall in the heavens in 100,000 years. It was a further blow to his confidence. This time Bu Luqing used life and death. A battle between two peak experts, the meaning behind the words and the impact on one's mental state was far greater than that of a sword and a saber. Yi Shaoxi and the rest were all smart people. They naturally knew that the conversation between the two had, in fact, already started the battle between the peak experts. They couldn't help but perk up their ears, accurately capturing the special meaning behind every sentence from both parties. Comparing it with their own cultivation and mental state, everyone actually had a feeling of sudden realization. The Dharma Supreme's eyes flashed and he said indifferently, "Brother Bu, you are too confident. I'm afraid that instead of killing, Brother Bu will be killed. Brother Bu should know that if Brother Bu wants to have a one-on-one battle with me, it's not that I can't do it." Step by step, the Dharma Supreme was forced into a corner by Bu Luqing and finally started to counterattack. And this counterattack was to separate Bu Luqing and the Moon Breeze couple for a one-on-one battle. If he were to attack the Moon Breeze couple, Bu Luqing would definitely join in the battle. But if he were to directly challenge Bu Luqing with Bu Liuqing's status and pride, he would rather die than let the Moon Breeze couple help. And if the Moon Breeze couple were to interfere, Bu Luqing would instead be furious. Therefore, the Moon Breeze couple didn't dare to interfere rashly. The Dharma Supreme's counterattack blocked the Moon Breeze couple's way of participating in the battle with just one sentence. Although it didn't go with his original intention, he could easily achieve his goal. A figure flashed and Bu Luqing, dressed in green and white, instantly traversed a distance of 10,000 feet and suddenly appeared in midair. In his hand, a long sword shone with green light. He just stood in midair, sword in hand, body like a sword, gaze like a sword. He sneered at the crowd below and recited slowly, "Walking the world I see a lonely shadow, looking at the world I walk alone. The world is but a path of life and death, the merciful sword shows no mercy." Bu Luqing said coldly, "Dharma Supreme, come and fight with me." Facing the Dharma Supreme's counterattack, Bu Luqing directly challenged him. This was an even more domineering answer, even a form of oppression. "You say you can kill me, then fight with me. Let's see if I kill you or you kill me." Although the Dharma Supreme had a mental barrier because of Bu Luqing and had no choice but to break through, how could Bu Luqing not want to break through his own mental demons? Ever since he knew that the Dharma Supreme had innate spirit meridians, Bu Luqing felt uncomfortable. So tonight he must defeat him. He had to overcome his inner demons. The Dharma Supreme's eyes flashed and he said indifferently, "Why can't I fight with you?" However, the Moon Breeze couple is not allowed to kill anyone tonight. His words were vague but expressed very clearly. If the Moon Breeze couple were to fight, I would have to worry about the consequences. Even if it was a decisive battle, it would not be a decisive battle in the truest sense. You are already going overboard by stopping me from avenging my disciple. Now that the two of you are having a decisive battle, you still want to restrict my actions? Dharma Supreme. Don't you think you are meddling too much? Yu Lingxue was furious and was about to explode. Suddenly, a soft voice entered his ears. "Your disciple is fine. However, the Lan clan cannot be let off easily." Yu Lingxue's body shook and a look of joy appeared on his face. It was the voice of that mysterious woman. Yu Lingxue's expression changed and he said indifferently, "Not fighting, fine. However, the main culprit tonight, the Lan clan, must give me an explanation. Otherwise, even if the Dharma Supreme and Brother Bu stop us at the same time, even if the two of us cannot kill everyone here, we are confident that we can kill more than half of them and leave calmly." Chapter 1032. Lan Muxue was already severely injured by Zi Sheqing. How could he still come? When the Dharma Supreme asked this question, the entire place was silent. Even the members of the Lan clan were silent. They did not know why their old ancestor had not arrived yet. The Dharma Supreme said coldly, "The other 8 clans leave. Disperse. As for the Lan clan, brother, you can deal with them as you see fit. However, I hope that this matter will end here." After saying that, the Dharma Supreme stood up, his black robe fluttering in the air. He said, "Brother Bu, since you want to fight, then come with me." He had no choice but to agree to Yu Lingshue's request. Bu Luqing was obviously going against him. If the Moon Breeze couple were to interfere and the 3 of them surrounded him, that would be really bad. With his status, he couldn't possibly run away, right? Therefore, the Dharma Supreme had no choice but to agree first. The Moon Breeze couple had to deal with the Lan clan and couldn't rush over to join hands with Bu Luqing. However, a battle with Bu Luqing would be beneficial to him instead. At the very least, it would be a boost to his cultivation and comprehension. Bu Luqing pointed his sword and said indifferently, "Follow me." The sword light flashed and turned into a bolt of lightning. With a loud boom, Bu Luqing had already disappeared without a trace. The Dharma Supreme laughed loudly. In a flash, he was like a black cloud, with his hands behind his back and his long hair fluttering in the wind. Everyone knew that he had already left, but they felt that his black robe was still floating slowly in the air. With a furious roar, Feng Yuro and Yu Lingxue attacked the Lan clan at the same time. Even without Zi Sheqing's words, the 2 of them didn't intend to let the Lan clan off. Since the Lan clan dared to attack them, they had to pay the price. With 2 supreme martial artists attacking together, it was a clean and efficient attack. In just a moment, the Lan clan was already dead and injured, with only 2 supreme martial artists escaping desperately. Yu Lingxue wanted to give chase, but Feng Yuro stopped him. "Let them go. From now on, we won't have any relationship with the Lan clan anymore. We'll repay Meixian for her kindness." Yu Lingxue snorted with some reluctance, but ultimately didn't give chase. Then the husband and wife glanced coldly at the 8 great clans present. Without saying a word, they flew away with a swoosh. Zhuge Hutu waved his sleeves and led the Zhuge family away. He turned around and scolded, "Serves you right." The other 7 families rolled their eyes. Zhuge Hutu finally understood that these guys were all after the sacred tribe elder locked up in the dungeon. Because of the wrong information, it led to today's battle. How could Zhuge Hutu not be depressed? How important was the medicine banquet to nourish the heavens? It concerned the fate of the entire clan. Yet these fellows were still scheming and robbing at such a time. Fuck. What the hell? The second grandmaster of the Zhuge family spat in disdain and left. However, he still felt a little happy in his heart. "Damn it, our Zhuge clan only lost 2 people, but each of your clans lost dozens of people." From this point of view, the Zhuge clan actually benefited from the glory. Humans were like this. They thought that they were unlucky, so they felt bad. But if they suddenly found out that someone else was unluckier than them, they would immediately become happy. The Zhuge family left. Then there was a moment of silence. Then suddenly a commotion broke out like a flash flood. The Yi clan lost the 2nd young master and more than 70 experts. The Shao clan lost the 5th young master and more than 10 experts. Both clans were very sullen. As for the other clans, the Shi clan lost more than 40 experts, the Ling clan lost 40, the Li clan lost 35, the Qin clan lost close to 50, and the Li clan lost the most. The Li clan came uninvited and wanted to gain something without risking anything. In the end, they lost the most, a total of 10 experts. Could be said to be a great loss. "Let's go." Li Xiangxi waved his hand and left with his subordinates without saying anything. Why did his clan lose the most people? Li Xiangxi knew very well. It was because of that, one of the tribulations of his clan, Li Xiongtu. With one of the tribulations in the Li clan, he would become the target of the other 8 clans. If he stayed any longer, if this bunch of red-eyed fellows suddenly attacked like mad dogs, his Li clan would definitely be the first to bear the brunt. Therefore the Li clan retreated first. The Qin clan was the 3rd to leave. The Qin clan could be considered to be extremely tragic. They had saved a huge sum of expenses, bribing Chu Yang. They only sent people to keep a close eye on the other clans. Everyone was ready to go, and they would immediately follow up once there was a move. Therefore, after painstaking planning, they finally managed to make up for this huge loss. The other clans still had a reason to find trouble with Chu Yang and beat him up to vent their anger. However, the Qin clan didn't even have such an excuse. They could only leave in dismay. They accepted this loss. Shi Jing of the Shi clan was the first to make trouble. Taking advantage of his seniority, he scolded, "A bunch of pig brains. Don't you use your brains when you do things? Are all of your brains filled with tofu dregs?" Oh, your ancestors. Even if our Shi clan is made of stone and can't think, don't tell me all your clans have the same surname as us? Fuck. Then we're still one clan? Xiao Sei and Yi Di's faces darkened. This bastard Shi Jing was obviously using this as an excuse to make a fuss. How was he scolding his own clan? He was obviously scolding them indirectly. This fellow had suffered a loss when he was delegating tasks to the Dharma Supreme. As expected, he was acting up now. Ling Fengyun said angrily, "Shut up. If you don't want to become a pile of dead stones, take your men and scram. I'm already depressed, so don't make me annoyed." Shi Jing stomped his feet and scolded, "What do you mean?" Xiao Sei stepped forward coldly. "Everyone has died. Why don't we settle our own affairs? Shi Jing, if you're unhappy, no one is happy. If you really make us angry, all of us will beat you up together." Xiao Sei's words were very well spoken. Although he was teaching Shi Jing a lesson, he seemed to have unintentionally pulled everyone closer together. Shi Jing shrank his neck and scolded, "Fuck. If we can't afford to offend you, can't we just hide?" Just like that, he left with his men. Then, everyone counted their losses. The more they counted, the more gloomy their faces became. 73 people from the Yi clan died. One of them is a first-grade supreme martial artist, 3 of them are second-grade martial saints, 11 of them are 8th-grade martial saints, 17 of them are 7th-grade martial saints, 5 of them are second-grade martial saints, and the rest are 4th-grade martial saints. Including the second-in-command of the younger generation, Yi Shifeng. Yi Shifeng died in the hands of the Shao clan. Among the 73 people, 41 were killed by the Shao clan. 7 died in the hands of the Ling clan, 12 died in the hands of the Lan clan, 2 died in the hands of the Qin clan, 1 died in the hands of the Li clan, 3 died in the hands of the Shi clan, and 2 died in the hands of the Shao clan. Yi Di stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes flashing. "You have to give me an explanation too." "Bullshit." Xiao Sei was the first to jump up. 17 people from the Shao clan died. More than 50 of them died in the hands of the Yi clan. Even the 5th young master of the younger generation died. Furthermore, it was the Yi clan who killed him first. Who is going to give us an explanation? Ling Fengyun snorted coldly and said, "Many people from the Ling clan died in the hands of the Yi clan. I still want an explanation." Qing Chou smiled faintly. "The blood debt of the Yi clan is not small either." Yi Di was furious. "Where is this place? This is the territory of the Yi clan. What are all of you doing here?" "Dead. Serves you right for being dead. You actually want an explanation? Ridiculous." The grand ancestors quarreled for a while, each of them arguing until their faces and necks were flushed red. All of them felt wronged and indignant. However, they were at a stalemate and no one could convince the other. The more they argued, the more intense it became. The members of the various clans behind them had tears in their eyes as they collected the remains of their brothers and elders. They were filled with murderous intent. It looked like a war was about to break out again. Seeing that the situation was not good and seemed to be out of control, Yi Di frowned and said, "There are only a few of us now. It is meaningless to talk about it. Let's find an opportunity. The 5 of us are here. This matter has nothing to do with the Qin clan, Li clan, or Zhuge clan. The Lan clan is already dead. Later we will look for Lan Muxue and find out what is going on. Then, we will find an opportunity to capture that person called Chu Yang and interrogate him. Let's get to the bottom of this before we talk about other things. As for the losses of each clan, we will come up with an agreement after the trial. Each clan must be responsible for the compensation." Yi Di looked at the elders with great authority. "What do you think of my suggestion?" "Good. Let's capture that Chu Yang first. Anyway, everyone has a big business. No one can run away." Xiao Sei was the first to agree. Although the others were not convinced, they could only do this for now. The feud between the Shao clan and the Yi clan was getting deeper and deeper. However, it did not erupt on a large scale. The root cause was Yi Di and Xiao Sei. These two were good friends back then. If it were not for the friendship between these two elders, the two clans would have been in a bloodbath long ago. Although both clans were in a lot of blood, Xiao Sei was the first to agree to Yi Di's suggestion. This showed that the relationship between these two was not ordinary. Qing Chou laughed out loud and said, "Actually, even though we have suffered a lot of losses, but compared to the Lan clan, it pales in comparison and is not worth mentioning. Lan Muxue, this old bastard, went for wool and came home shorn. If he is still alive, he must be very depressed." The other second grandmasters started to laugh at the misfortune of the Lan clan. The atmosphere became less tense. "Lan Muxue will not die. The last 2 high-level supreme martial artists of the Lan clan have been released. Why would they kill Lan Muxue? However, it is expected that Lan Muxue will suffer a lot this time, Yi Di said. Ling Fengyun said, congratulations brother Yi. We have one less strong competitor. That elder of the divine tribe. Aha. Yi Di's face darkened. He said, with your Ling clan I won't be lonely. Ling Fengyun laughed. After the discussion, everyone packed up and prepared to leave. The ground was full of blood. Everyone was melancholic. Chapter 1033. While everyone was discussing, a loud explosion suddenly came from the distant horizon. Then a huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Countless places in the sky cracked and pitch-black cracks appeared. It was obvious that the Dharma Supreme and Buluqing had started fighting. Yi Di and the rest looked into the distance cautiously, their expressions complicated. The Dharma Supreme and Buluqing's level was a level that these few people dreamed of but had yet to reach. Rumbling sounds could be heard from afar. After a short while, a bolt of lightning flashed in mid-air, splitting the entire sky into two halves. This bolt of lightning seemed to have connected the blue sky and the earth. Its grandeur was simply incomparable. Mercy sword. Buluqing has made his move. Everyone was shocked. Yi Di and Xiao Sei looked solemn. Seeing this sword, both of them thought of one thing at the same time. If Buluqing had attacked them with this sword, both of them looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. Everyone, let's go back. Don't think about going to watch the battle. A battle of this level is a blow to our confidence. Ling Fengyun laughed. The other second grandmasters laughed as well, but their expressions were forced. Just as everyone was about to leave, they suddenly felt the entire ground tremble. They looked over in shock and saw that the lightning was like a chain of lightning, appearing in the sky one after another, illuminating the area as if it was daytime. On the other side of the sword light, there was a floating mountain peak. The entire mountain peak was used as a sledgehammer, fiercely hammering down on the sword light again and again and again and again, hammering down. It's the Dharma Supreme. The Dharma Supreme's divine art of heaven and earth. Everyone gasped. Picking up a mountain and throwing it out was something that everyone present could do. But picking up a mountain and smashing it down did not work, and then retrieving it and smashing it down again. This required more than 100 times the strength needed to lift a mountain. However, the Dharma Supreme actually continued to smash the mountain. One could clearly see that the entire mountain had turned into powder. Buluqing's sword light was still flying in the sky. Fine stone foam and dust floated in the sky above Tianji City. It became gray and hazy. When they saw this, all the second ancestors sighed in unison. They were momentarily at a loss for words. When Buluqing and the Dharma Supreme left, a white shadow flashed at a speed that could not be seen and appeared at the hiding place of Chu Yang and Wu Qianqian. Have you seen enough? Let's go. The white figure grabbed one of them with one hand and then waved his other hand in the air. Chu Yang and Wu Qianqian saw the space in front of them being forcefully pulled apart like a piece of cloth. Mountains, rivers, and buildings seemed to have suddenly sped up in front of them. They were rushing towards them at a rapid speed and then disappeared. Following which, Zi Sheqing carried the two of them and took a huge step forward. This step was like stepping over life and death, stepping over the netherworld. After taking a step out, Chu Yang and Wu Qianqian suddenly realized that they had already left Tianji City and arrived at the outskirts of the wilderness. Tearing the space apart, 1,000 miles in one step. Chu Yang sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew that Zi Sheqing was very strong, but he definitely did not know that Zi Sheqing could actually carry two people and tear the space apart to the extent of 1,000 miles in a single step. Wrong. Zi Sheqing said lightly. This place is 2,700 miles away from Tianji City. Chu Yang was instantly petrified. Wu Qianqian at the side looked at Zi Sheqing as if she was in a dream. Her mind was in a daze. Ever since Wu Qianqian followed Chu Yang, she was used to seeing the change of dynasties and was also used to seeing cruelty. She was even more indifferent to life and death and had seen through life. She had also experienced shock. Ever since she became the disciple of Yu Lingxue and Feng Yuro, Wu Qianqian had seen even more of the world. By right, at this stage, ordinary things would not cause Wu Qianqian to be shocked at all, and would not disturb her calm state of mind. But at this moment she was really dumbfounded and only felt that the world was spinning. She did not expect that Sister Z, who had a friendly conversation with her that day, actually had such a terrifying cultivation. Tearing the entire space apart like a piece of cloth, carrying two people and traversing 2,700 miles in one step. What kind of concept was this? Wu Qianqian did not know, but she knew that even if her two masters combined their strength and multiplied it by 10, they would definitely not be able to do this. In that case, wasn't this Sister Z the real number one in this heavenly layer? Wu Qianshan opened her pretty little mouth and only closed it after a long time. She sighed and said, "So Sister Z is the real number one in this heavenly layer." She finally said this sentence. It was really like a fishbone stuck in her throat. Wrong. Z Sheqing said lightly, "I'm not the number one in this heavenly layer, but I'm the number one in all the planes within a radius of 70 million miles outside this heavenly layer." Chu Yang and Wu Qianshan felt dizzy at the same time. This is the most secluded and least populated place. It's the most suitable place for two supreme martial artists to battle. Z Sheqing said, "In a while I'll use my elemental energy to protect you and go over to see a battle between experts of this level with your own eyes." She looked at Chu Yang steadily and said, "This will be very beneficial for your future achievements. Moreover, this kind of battle between experts of similar strength is the rarest. You have to comprehend it well." Chu Yang and Wu Qianshan nodded seriously. Even without her saying, both of them knew how rare this opportunity was. The battle between the Dharma Supreme and Buluqing was definitely a battle at the peak of the heavenly layer. The benefits they could gain were even more than the battle between Ning Tianya and Buluqing. Because the battle between Ning Tianya and Buluqing would not be life-threatening, but the Dharma Supreme and Buluqing both wanted to kill each other. This kind of battle, those who were close to the level did not dare to watch. Because they were working hard towards this goal. After watching this battle, it would leave a shadow of never to surpass. Then it would really be over. Therefore Ling Fengyun said, "If we watch a battle of this level, it will be a blow to our confidence." But Chu Yang and Wu Qianshan were now far from this level, so they did not feel anything. Just like a person who could earn $1 million a month, when he saw someone who could earn $10 million, he would immediately feel, "I thought I was very awesome and was as awesome as a donkey every day, but it turns out that he is much stronger than me. This is such a blow to my self-esteem." But a person who could only earn $1,000 a month, when he saw someone who could earn $10 million, would humbly learn and refer to his successful experience, and even make him his ultimate goal. Yes, that was more or less the case. As they spoke, a flash of sword light came from the direction of the hidden danger, making a sharp whistling sound as if it was going to split the sky. It was Buluqing. Behind him, a figure followed closely behind like a dark cloud. His movements were neither fast nor slow, confident and at ease, with a kind of calm and domineering aura of a sovereign. It was the Dharma Supreme. Wu Qianshan originally admired and respected these two people, but now she did not know why, but a thought like, "That's all there is to it." Even Wu Qianshan herself was shocked by this thought. The impact of Z Sheqing was really too great. Buluqing and the Dharma Supreme were the first to move. They had already walked quite a distance before Z Sheqing brought Chu Yang and Wu Qianshan to move. The three of them had already waited for a while before the two of them finally arrived. No wonder Wu Qianshan had such thoughts. Z Sheqing's eyes flashed. With a wave of her slender hand, an invisible aura cut off all the senses of the outside world, including sight, hearing, and intuition. Buluqing landed on the ground with a swoosh. Without turning his head, he said indifferently, "Brother Dharma Supreme, what do you think of the feng shui of this burial place that I have chosen for you?" The Dharma Supreme's black figure stopped in the air like a demon god. With his hands behind his back, he looked around as if he was really checking the feng shui. After a long while, he nodded in satisfaction and said with a smile, "If Brother Bu is buried here, this place will not be in vain. It will definitely become a sword mountain in the future. Looks like Brother Bu has already made arrangements for his funeral." Bu Liuqing's slender figure stood alone. He laughed coldly and said, "If it is the burial place of the Dharma Supreme, I think it will be more suitable." The Dharma Supreme shook his head and laughed. He said casually, "Brother Bu, actually, there is something that I do not understand." "Speak." Bu Liuqing seemed to have guessed what he was going to say and said calmly, "Brother Bu is full of enmity towards me." The Dharma Supreme said, 13,000 years ago, when I was inaugurated as the Dharma Supreme, Brother Bu went to the law enforcement city to look for me. After meeting me, he turned and left without saying a word. That was the first time we met." The Dharma Supreme was puzzled and said, "I still remember that time. Among all the guests in the world, Brother Bu gave me the most gifts, and they were also the most precious. At that time I was still a little flattered. I thought that I had found a soulmate, but the truth was not so. What? 7,000 years ago, when I was chasing after the supreme demon Mu Qing Tian, I met Brother Bu again. That time Brother Bu even drew his sword against me. Right in front of Tianji City, Brother Bu mocked and ridiculed me. He even scolded me in front of the people of the big clans." The Dharma Supreme said in puzzlement, I have always been puzzled. When did I offend you, Brother Bu? Bu Luqing was silent for a long time before he asked, Who are you? The Dharma Supreme was stunned and said, Who am I? Bu Luqing looked at him with cold and sharp eyes and said coldly, That's right, who are you? The Dharma Supreme's pupils contracted and his black hair moved without wind. He laughed softly and said, Brother Bu, are you confused? I am right in front of you, how can you not recognize me? Bu Luqing suddenly laughed loudly, his voice piercing through the clouds. Dharma Supreme Dino Dongfang Badeo is my friend. He is also from my hometown. The two of us came from the same village. Moreover, Dongfang Badeo is my rival in love. My wife back then was also from the same village. When Dongfang Badeo was young, he was also madly in love with her. However, she married me later on. Bu Liuqing's voice was very light, but his eyes were as sharp as a sword. Chapter 1034. Hearing Bu Liuqing's words, especially the name Dongfang Badeo, the Dharma Supreme's face suddenly changed. At this moment, his face was as pale as a ghost. His long hair swayed without any wind, like long black snakes dancing in the air above his head. His eyes emitted a dark light as he stared at Bu Luqing and said word by word, Bu Luqing, what is the meaning of this? Bu Luqing raised his head slightly, his eyes were complicated. He said sadly, Your body belongs to Dongfang Badeo, but you are not. He raised his head and looked into the eyes of the Dharma Supreme. You are the one who was in the land of calamity 20,000 years ago? The Dharma Supreme was silent, his eyes became two bottomless pools. He said lightly, Brother Bu, what you said today is very strange. Don't search anymore. Bu Luqing said lightly, Dongfang Badeo failed to pursue Xiao Yi. On the day of my marriage with Xiao Yi, he drank until he was dead drunk and then sealed his memory by force. 3,000 years later, Dongfang Badeo came to drink with me. He said that he finally deleted a part of his memory from his heart after 3,000 years. Dongfang Badeo was my best brother in life. He was also the most trusted person in Xiao Yi's life besides me. Xiao Yi's body was weak and she was born weak. Although I tried my best to prolong her life, she could only accompany me for 100 years. She could no longer stop the passage of time. She passed away. If I had my current cultivation at that time, Xiao Yi would not have died. Speaking of this, Bu Luqing looked up and sighed. Bu Liuqing's eyes emitted deep emotions. 2,100 years after Xiao Yi died, Dongfang Badeo found me. He said that in order not to let me down, in order not to let Xiao Yi down, he deleted his memory and did not let himself think of her anymore. Even his soul was missing a part. When Bu Luqing said this, Chu Yang, who had been hiding in Zi Sheqing's breath, trembled. Zi Sheqing turned her head in surprise and asked, What happened? Chu Yang's expression was complicated. He said, I see. This Dongfang Badeo. His friendship with Bu Luqing and his persistence in love is really scary and enviable. Friendship? Stubbornness and love? Zi Sheqing obviously could not understand the complicated feelings involved. This person was his best friend's rival in love, but on the night his best friend married the woman he loved the most, he sealed his memories. What's more, 3,000 years later, that woman had already been dead for 2,100 years, but he had succeeded in his cultivation. At that time he would rather destroy a piece of his own soul. He also wanted to completely destroy the memories of that time. Why was that? Wu Qianqian sighed and said, Perhaps I can explain. Zi Sheqing tilted her head and said, Oh? Dongfang Badeo and Bu Luqing are good friends. Both of them are pursuing a woman at the same time. And this woman was also their best friend. They were from the same hometown. This woman married Bu Luqing and did not choose Dongfang Badeo. Since they are married, there is no thought, but Dongfang Badeo loves her too deeply and can't let go. However, the person he couldn't let go of was his best friend's wife. Even if he did not say it out loud. He also felt sorry for his friend. I feel like I'm tarnishing the chastity of the woman I love the most. So he sealed his memories. He sealed his love, but at the same time fulfilled his friendship and his love. This is the greatest love a man can have for the woman he loves who is married to someone else. But 3,000 years later, he went to Bu Luqing and said that he had deleted a certain memory. Because his lover was dead, if he kept it, he would let her down. So he would rather destroy his soul. He also wanted to delete the memory. This is a righteous man and a real friend worth making. Wu Qianqian said softly. Zi Sheqing let out a long, oh. She could not help but frown and think. Chu Yang sighed and said, I really don't know. He sealed his memories back then. How heartbroken it must be. And how painful it must be to resolutely delete one's own memories. This is not the pain of losing one's soul, but the greatest spiritual pain. Admirable. What a pity. Admirable that there is such a good man in the world. What a pity that this indomitable man is now dead, and even his body has been taken over by someone else. Chu Yang sighed deeply. Wu Qianqian also sighed, thinking of this heroic Dongfang Badao in the past, but now lonely and sad. She couldn't help but feel a little sad. This was something that didn't need to be considered. If Dongfang Badao was not a heroic and righteous hero, how could he become the next Dharma Supreme? Chu Yang also finally understood why the law enforcement officers who had been on the side of the Tribulation Sword Master for 100,000 years turned against him. So that's why. At this moment, the Dharma Supreme's long hair was flying, and his eyes were deep in thought. He smiled faintly and said, "Brother Bu, what you said is too ridiculous. Is there such a thing in the world?" Bu Luqing ignored him, but his eyes were full of hatred. He stared at the Dharma Supreme and said, "You can deny it. I don't need you to admit it." He sneered and said slowly, "When Dongfang Badao came to find me, it was 13,400 years ago." Bu Luqing said word by word. He actually remembered the time correctly. It was obvious that the incident back then had a deep impact on him. "And you were the one who took over the Dharma Supreme 13,000 years ago. Now that I think about it, Badao must have destroyed his divine soul in order to delete his memory, which gave you the opportunity to take over his body. At that time I was happy for Badao. So, when I got the news that Badao took over the Dharma Supreme, I didn't hesitate to travel thousands of miles to Law Enforcement City to congratulate him. I want to drink to my heart's content with the best brother in my life." Bu Liuqing's voice was trembling. He laughed, but his laughter was full of sorrow. "My best brother, my friend, my fellow countryman, someone that Shaoyi also believed in back then. Now that he has become the Dharma Supreme. You know how happy I was at that time. My brother is standing at the peak. This is his achievement. I'm proud." Bu Luqing shouted heartbreakingly, "I'm proud. Do you understand? I'm proud. Do you understand?" At the side, Chu Yang sighed sadly. He had put down everything and traveled thousands of miles just to congratulate his brother. With a heart full of joy and an absolute pride of sharing the glory, he was ready to accompany his best brother to stand at the peak of the world and tell him, "I'm here. We've always been together. I'll tell him no matter where you stand. Brother is a brother." What kind of excitement was that? But when Bu Luqing arrived at the location and saw his brother with ecstasy and excitement, he suddenly realized that his brother was no longer his brother. He didn't know what had taken over his brother's body. He had become a stranger. What kind of feeling was that? Chu Yang felt that if he were Bu Luqing at that moment he would probably cry on the spot and fight with all his might. Bu Luqing was able to endure it on the spot and then turn around to leave. He was already considered to have strong willpower. Thinking of Bu Liuqing's disappointment and despair at that time, thinking of the heroic Dongfang Badao ending up in such a miserable state, thinking of Bu Liuqing's disappointment when he went to congratulate his brother, at this moment, Wu Qianqian's heart ached and she even shed tears. For the friendship between men. Bu Luqing continued with grief and indignation. "But when I saw you for the first time, you looked at me politely. I immediately knew that he was no longer him. He had become you. Because Dongfang Badao was in front of me. He never knew what politeness was. But your eyes at that time clearly showed that you didn't know me. At that time in the law enforcement city, there were many law enforcement experts. I was alone, so I immediately retreated. But, for 13,000 years, I've been looking for opportunities all the time. I've always wanted to kill you. To kill you." Bu Luqing laughed loudly. "Who are you? You actually used my brother's face to swindle people? Compared to Dongfang Badao you're nothing." The Dharma Supreme's face was so gloomy that it seemed as if water was about to drip out. He said lightly, "Bu Luqing, you've gone too far. Do you know that slandering the supreme law enforcement expert like this is already a capital offense?" "Bah, your ancestors." Bu Luqing laughed sadly. "Letting you live for another 13,000 years is enough for Badao to scold me in the underworld. To hell with your capital offense." The Dharma Supreme's eyes flashed as if he was thinking. After hearing these impolite words he actually didn't get angry. He seemed to be digging for something in his heart. Finally it dawned on him. "So you're Bu Zuitsui?" Bu Luqing trembled. Hearing this old name he had mixed feelings. "Yes, I'm Bu Zuitsui. You actually managed to find my real name in Tyrannical's memories." "I am Bu Zuitsui. But you can't find my wife's name. Let me tell you, her name is Lianyi." Bu Liuqing's original name was actually Bu Zuitsui. Such a comedic name. But at this moment, both Chu Yang and Wu Qianqian didn't find this matter funny. Instead they felt endless bitterness. Buzuitsui Liani. The Dharma Supreme muttered these two names. His brows furrowed slightly, and a trace of deep pain appeared on his face. His whole body actually convulsed. He couldn't help but grit his teeth and endure it. Then he muttered, "How troublesome. It has already been sealed and deleted." After 13,000 years, hearing this name can actually still make this body that no longer belongs to him tremble in pain. How deep could his love have been back then? Bu Luqing saw his abnormality but didn't take this opportunity to attack. On the contrary, his eyes lit up. How troublesome. The Dharma Supreme smiled slightly and pressed his temple with his hand. His gaze was deep and no one knew what he was thinking. He seemed to be lamenting the hopeless love that had been sealed and deleted, but could still touch this body that was not under the control of the original owner after 13,000 years. It was an intense pain that had passed away a long time ago. It was actually so eternal and indestructible. Chapter 1036. The Dharma Supreme loosened his fist slightly and stretched it. That white scar regained its color and he slowly clenched his fist again. Is he injured? Wu Qianqian looked at the white scar on the Dharma Supreme's fist and asked softly. No. Chu Yang focused his gaze and said, but it will definitely be very painful. Therefore, I predict that he will not fight empty-handed from now on. The Dharma Supreme was too careless in this test. Oh, not careless, but Bu Luqing succeeded. Chu Yang hurriedly corrected her. Zi Sheqing, who was at the side, gave him a look of approval. Bu Luqing succeeded? Wu Qianqian was a little confused. Bu Luqing told that story to explain the whole story and to avenge his good friend. Thirdly, it also had an effect, which was to tell the Dharma Supreme, I know your background. I know your secret. Chu Yang said, the Dharma Supreme used this identity to deceive the world for 13,000 years. Now that it was suddenly exposed, of course he would feel a little guilty. Therefore, Bu Luqing played a psychological game and suddenly released a domineering sword strike, causing the Dharma Supreme to be in a state of shock. Although it looked like they were evenly matched, the Dharma Supreme would definitely feel uncomfortable because Bu Luqing had already grasped the rhythm of the battle. Rhythm, although this does not affect the outcome of the battle, as long as Bu Luqing can continue to work hard, he can slowly gain the upper hand. And the upper hand can possibly turn into a victory. The victory will determine the outcome of the battle, and the outcome of the battle will determine life and death. Chu Yang heaved a sigh of relief, his gaze solemn. In a battle between experts, not even a word or a tone can be ignored. Who knows which aspect of the battle will be able to determine the outcome of the battle? Zi Sheqing smiled and said, but the Dharma Supreme will definitely not allow Bu Luqing to take advantage of him like this. He will definitely counterattack next and equalize the battle. Chu Yang nodded in agreement. How could the Dharma Supreme allow himself to be at a disadvantage like this? Returning the favor was a definite matter. Wu Qianqian nodded. Both of them narrowed their eyes slightly at the same time, recalling the punch and sword strike just now. Right at this moment, in the middle of the battle between the Dharma Supreme and Bu Luqing, the place where the sword light and the fist collided was dead silent. Then, suddenly a teeth-numbing cracking sound rang out. The entire space actually began to crack apart at a speed visible to the naked eye. Thin cracks began to spread out in a zigzag manner from the space. At first, it was only as thick as a strand of hair, but as the cracks grew clearer and clearer, they became thicker and thicker, and they actually stretched for more than 300 miles. In the beginning, the hair-like crack had turned into a huge, mouth-like black hole that could devour the world. 300 li of space shattered at the same time. Immediately after, the power of the heavens and earth gathered from all directions, and in an instant, this space was completely repaired. Then there was a loud explosion. On the ground, a huge mushroom cloud suddenly rose up. On the ground, hundreds of miles of trees were neatly cut off. The upper parts of the fallen tree trunks flew out like ripe dandelions, along with the treetops. Chu Yang and Wu Qianqian sighed at the same time. Suddenly, he realized that the rumors in the martial arts world were as nonsensical as the farts of pigs and dogs. It was said that one could benefit from a battle between experts for a lifetime with just one look. This was simply bullshit. The so-called spectator couldn't be too far away. For a battle between experts of this level, not to mention spectators, even standing within 300 li of the battle would be devoured until nothing was left. And one couldn't see anything from 2 to 3 li away. What benefits could there be? If not for Zi Sheqing's powerful cultivation, Chu Yang reckoned that he and Wu Qianqian would already be rotten to the core. They would definitely have each other. A huge hole appeared on the ground. No one knew how deep it was. The most outrageous thing was that at the bottom of the cave, a pool of spring water suddenly gushed out and rose high up into the air. Chu Yang sighed. So this is how the so-called rivers, lakes and seas came to be, Zi Shiqing snorted and said, still in the mood to be playful. What are you thinking of? She turned and asked Wu Qianqian, what about you? Chu Yang pondered and recalled that sword and fist. He sighed and said, domineering. Indeed domineering. Wu Qianqian said, I did feel some emotions. A kind of extreme depression that suddenly erupted with a kind of thirst for exhilaration. As if this was a good thing. It was a kind of feeling that vented all the pain and sorrow that Bu Luqing had accumulated over the past 10,000 years. Therefore, I feel that Bu Liuqing's following attacks will become more and more fierce. The Dharma Supreme wants to turn the tables. I'm afraid it will take some time. Wu Qianqian smiled embarrassedly and explained, this is just my intuition. Emotions? Exhilaration? Intuition? Zi Shiqing looked at Wu Qianqian with some surprise and sized her up. She praised sincerely, Sister Qianqian, you have a bright future indeed. Chu Yang was also moved. Wu Qianqian's words proved that she was a sentimental person. The next moment, lightning flashed across the sky from afar. Bu Liuqing's body grew from a small size and rushed back with a destructive sword light. His murderous aura filled the sky. Bu Liuqing was in the air, his long sword slashing continuously. From a few thousand feet away, streaks and streaks of sword light slashed towards the Dharma Supreme like lightning. Every streak of sword light was extremely accurate, aiming for the Dharma Supreme and slashing downwards. This situation gave everyone the illusion that the god of thunder in the sky had gone mad. The sword light was like a torrential storm, illuminating the area within a radius of several hundred miles, brightly illuminating everything. The Dharma Supreme stood firmly on the ground like a mountain. As long as a sword light came, he would throw out a punch. One punch from the left, one punch from the right, one punch from the left, one punch from the right. Therefore the sword light collapsed again and again. On the surface, Bu Liuqing was on the offensive while the Dharma Supreme was on the defensive. However, Bu Liuqing's sword light could not do anything to the Dharma Supreme's fist. It seemed that Bu Liuqing had lost. However, only real experts knew that at this level, there was no difference whether one had a sword or not. The Dharma Supreme's hand, the Dharma Supreme's fist, was the best weapon in the world. It was not inferior to Bu Liuqing's sword. However, Chu Yang could vaguely see something. He frowned and said, what is the Dharma Supreme doing? He looks calm but he is actually on the defensive. Moreover, his fist was not as sharp as the sword light after all. Therefore if this goes on he will definitely not be able to take it. Zi Shiqing said, that's why he is switching his hands. If he can completely block such a dense sword light with just one hand, then Bu Liuqing should be running for his life now. Wu Qianqian said, I feel that the Dharma Supreme is also very helpless now. Big Sister Zi said just now that he is unable to block more than two sword light with one punch. Therefore, although he looks calm, he is actually already at a disadvantage. However, Bu Liuqing's aura is at its peak now. The Dharma Supreme can only bitterly hold on for now. We will talk about it after this period. Not necessarily. Chu Yang shook his head. With Bu Liuqing's cultivation, if this continues, 3 to 5 months will not be a problem. How can he afford to waste this time? Moreover, if he keeps on defending he will definitely lose. If this goes on, the Dharma Supreme will definitely lose. He is not such an unwise person. He must be up to something. Moreover, the Dharma Supreme has not revealed his weapon until now. Chu Yang concluded. However, he was thinking back to the moment when the space exploded. At that moment when the space exploded, Chu Yang felt that his spine was tingling with excitement. He only felt that his whole person was in the clouds. In front of him, there were thousands of worlds like fireworks blooming in front of him. So this was it. This was a feeling that could only be understood but could not be described in words. Shattering the void, collapsing the sky and shattering the void. Zi Shiqing looked at the profound light on Chu Yang's face and the familiar Tao state. She was actually a little stunned. She wanted Chu Yang to come and watch this battle of the pinnacle to pave the way for his future martial arts. Who would have thought that Chu Yang would actually comprehend a trace of the power of shattering here? Even though it was just a tiny bit, an insignificant tiny bit. However, Zi Shiqing was already shocked beyond words. It was as if her heart was also beating wildly. This was something that could only be comprehended when one reached the realm of collapsing the sky and shattering the void. What was Chu Yang's cultivation now? 4th grade sword master. The distance between him and that realm was 108,000 miles. Yet, at this moment he was actually able to comprehend by analogy? Zi Shiqing suddenly felt that the man and woman in front of her were both monsters. One of them was a martial saint but could predict the direction of the battle based on intuition. The other was a martial saint but could comprehend the surface of shattering the void. Monsters. Bu Luqing slashed and stabbed continuously in midair as if he had gone mad. Rays of sword light, rays of sword light. Pieces of sword light flew over like snowflakes. The Dharma Supreme shattered them with a punch and the shattered sword light flew far away. Patches of trees were completely knocked down just like that. Piles and piles of mountain rocks were shattered just like that. There were also countless large rocks that were sent flying high into the air and then fell back down again. For a moment, it was as if the mountains were collapsing and the earth was cracking. However, the surroundings of the Dharma Supreme and Bu Luqing were calm. The space was shattered again and again and again and again. It was as if two gods had descended to the mortal world and started a battle in the mortal world. All of a sudden. Watch out, the Dharma Supreme is about to move. Zi Shiqing reminded solemnly. The Dharma Supreme was still punching hard, but his legs were trembling strangely. However, in the eyes of outsiders, his legs were obviously not moving. However, there seemed to be an extremely profound charm contained within this seemingly motionless, minute movement. Chu Yang's heart skipped a beat. He said, "Senior Sister Qianqian, have you thought of the fleeting snow cloud steps?" Wu Qianqian was also frowning. She said, "I was just about to say that although this kind of footwork is completely different from ours, it is also filled with the unique charm of the fleeting snow cloud steps." Chu Yang nodded and said thoughtfully, "Snow in the clouds, fleeting in the sky, advancing and retreating at the same time, advancing and returning at the same time, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."